Indubitably.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Why, hello.
Hello, and welcome to Graphic Content.
It's a pleasure to see you yet again.
I am that bronze girl,
I am
and today I am joined by my wonderful co-host,
Algernon Bolden.
Yes.
You might know me from Valiant Vanquish as the amazing Thomas Cos.
Sorry, I don't see any notes here that say talk like robots.
Oh.
What?
You just totally...
You ruined it!
You downclassed our
We were being classy and shit.
operation.
That's not what we do in Hyper RPG.
Well then, it's been ruined.
We were like, you know what, Zach's not here today, maybe we can class up the joint just for one day. Just maybe have a little bit of class and grace.
And style.
But no.
I believe you still look good.
White people ruin everything.
Hashtagged.
And we're off! Hello and welcome to Graphic Content. We are your weekly dose of comic book news and chatter here on Hyper RPG. If you're new to Hyper RPG, welcome. We are a hyperactive, interactive, community-driven channel with lots of variety content that we bring to you every day of the week. And today we're going to be talking about comic books.
And it was a really good week for comic books, too.
It was a really good week for comic books. There's lots of number ones coming out today. I guess we should do proper introductions now that we've gotten our high-class introductions out of the way. Hello, I am That Bronze Girl. I'm a variety caster on Twitch, and I also am a host here at Hyper. Thank you for the 8-month free sub, Unknown Creep. I appreciate it. And yeah, me and AJ here, we actually also star on Vanquish. I say star because we are stars.
We have a news.
Mrs. Manfaith!
Welcome.
We don't have subs on for
There's
you.
no music. What's going on? Oh.
There it is.
Subscriber.
This also happens on the show.
Subscriber.
I did abs today. We got another one. Son of a bitch. Give me a drink.
I love you, I think we may have just danced to the same one twice.
Okay. What's going on? Come on.
Money.
Oh.
Hope
Oh,
you are
my God.
Oh, that was
better.
a donation.
Bronze. Also, shame on you, Rai. Hashtag Rai, are you the ruining it guy? Hash Sador dash crop is not approved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much for the donation. Yeah, shame on Rai for ruining. All we needed was a fireplace.
And a pipe.
Yeah, a fireplace and a pipe.
And
it would have
ascot.
been perfect with the... Oh, hello. We had even the tone down.
I know, it was perfect.
That was totally unrehearsed. We just kind of... I don't even know what that sound means.
$50 donation. Thank you for
You did good. I blame Riri. Hash Sador dash crop hash mesh of the week 1.
Screw Riri. But
Hey.
thank you, 4am Critter. Thank you for that super generous donation. I've never even heard that sound before. I didn't even know
I
what
love
to
it.
do.
It's awesome. And thank you for the resub, Thunder.
Yes, thank you, Nerdy Zach. We do not have chat up just yet. We're going to have it up in a little bit. And so if you guys are talking to us, we're not 100% sure of what you're saying. So please keep all of your super wonderful feedback from me and AJ in your minds, and we'll have it in a moment. We'll respond to all of it, unless it's negative, in which case we will actively ignore your existence.
Or mock it.
Or mock it. Yeah, we do that too. So, this last weekend was pretty freaking hype. New York Comic Con.
Oh man, it was so many good things.
So many good things came out of New York Comic Con. So many, well, not so many, but one bad announcement came out of New York Comic Con. Did you catch up on that?
No, I haven't yet.
Basically, the official people did say Blade is not happening.
Aww.
There was a lot of kind of rumors going around, especially because I think it was Kate Beckinsale said that a lot of the people who worked on Underworld were working on a new project that was similar. Turns out they just came out and said it. All the official executives said they are not doing anything with Blade right now. It's not happening. That being said, a lot of cool things are happening.
Ooh, the
And
bits.
we got 100 bits. Thank
Make it
you,
rain.
Mr. Owl. but a lot of cool things are happening.
There's so many to talk about. I don't think we can even get through them all right now.
We can't get them through all of them, blah, 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 right now. But we do have some pretty cool coverage that Hyper put together for you guys. Zach was actually over at New York Comic Con, and he was in charge of streaming all of the Valiant stuff. So we have a small snippet of the Valiant cast interview for you guys, as well as we're going to be taking a look at the new Ninjak versus the Valiant
so
Universe
excited.
trailer, which looks pretty awesome. I mean, we have a jam-packed show today.
Should we get started?
We should get started. Okay, first things first, because we just got to get it out of the way. AJ, how do you feel about Luke Cage?
I have mixed feelings. I know that.
What?
So,
I thought you would love it. No, you're like, have I found another that is like me?
So, it started off excellent for me. And I think as a political statement, it is a wonderful show, both for the in-character and out-of-character things. They employed more black actors and actresses and brown actresses and actresses than anyone in the last, I believe, 2.5 years. There was a lot of money given, which is great because it was a shoestring budget. For a superhero TV show, though, it didn't really hit the mark for me. It felt good. Felt it rose to the occasion about midway through the season, and then it fell off. So
Yeah.
through the end, I'm satisfied, and that's the best way I can say it. It is good, not great. I still put first half of Daredevil season 2 above it. I think the Punisher arc by far is the best of anything that Marvel Netflix
That's why we're
has
best
done.
friends.
Yeah. I like Jessica
I
Jones
agree.
more overall. I know you don't.
Actually, no. I don't hate Jessica Jones. I think what I didn't like, I've kind of talked about what I didn't like about Jessica Jones, and one of my biggest gripes was I felt like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones had no chemistry. And it was so, that really left a bad taste in my mouth. Because it's like, when they're like supposed to be in love, I just wasn't sold on it. I
Well,
was like, I just don't feel like you guys love each other.
I thought it worked well because if anyone ever read Alias before, that's a book that Jessica Jones got premiered in, and she's actually back now in comics. But when she first appeared in comics, she was sort of a retcon character where she didn't exist at all in Marvel, and then they kind of just implanted her in and said, "Oh, she's been here all along." But in that, she slept with Luke Cage as a one-night stand. They didn't love each other. It wasn't until she was pregnant until they became together and they decided to raise a child together. Then they fell in love and then they eventually got married. But before then, it was literally one night stand. She was dating Ant-Man before then.
Okay.
And yeah, cheated on him with Luke Cage because Jessica Jones is one of the most flawed characters in comics, and that's what makes her amazing. That said, I'm really looking forward to see what they're doing.
Thanks for all the bits, by the
Ooh,
way.
make it rain.
Yeah, there's bits falling all over our screen right now, I'm sure.
I'm sure there is. But because of that, I'm actually kind of excited because I feel like I don't know what's going to happen coming up with both Iron Fist and with the Defenders. That was another thing from New York Comic Con. The first time the Defenders got together in one place. And I'm actually super excited because I was like, I'm not feeling Iron Fist. They showed a preview for that. I'm feeling a little bit more, but now
Yeah.
I want them together. My body is ready for them to come together.
I can agree with that. For me, Luke Cage is weird. I want to like it, but there's times where the pacing is off or the characters don't sell it enough to me. And you know what really actually for me reinforced that?
What is that?
It's the freaking like 3rd or 4th episode where Rosario Dawson comes in and literally like someone steals her purse and she just knocks that motherfucker out.
Oh, I love that.
And then later her mom is like, you know, what happened? She's like, oh, some dude tried to steal my purse. She's like, he could have killed you. She's like, nah, I had to kick his ass. And the way she says it, I'm like, she has more personality than like anybody else in the show.
Rosario,
How is that a thing? How in like your little cameo do you have more personality than Misty Knight? Like she just showed through it, like, you know?
I
You
feel
know what
like-
I'm talking about though?
So here's what I feel about it. I think they had to establish Misty Knight because she's going to be in Iron Fist coming up.
Right.
And they need to establish her background and why she does the things she does and kind of set up a lot of things coming up in the future. And I feel Rosario Dawson has been in everything so far.
Yeah,
You know who
the
she
Night
is.
Nurse, yeah.
And this is the first time she really had agency. And that's one of the things I love about Luke Cage. Before, she's always a reactive character. Oh, I'm hurt. Let's go to the Night Nurse.
Yeah.
Also, this is the first series that they actually call her the Night Nurse. And I
Yes.
was
Yeah.
geeking out about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel you, though, because...
She just, I don't know, like, I'm not blaming the actors, I think it's writing. They don't have enough of those moments, like, the moments where there could have been maybe a witty exchange or a good, meaningful banter, it never happened.
Yep.
Like, there's like this really awkward, cringy moment where Luke Cage is like, you know, where she's kind of casting doubt on Luke Cage, because at the end of the day, she is a detective and all of these deaths are happening around Luke Cage, and she corners him and she's like, you know, kind of casting doubt on him, and he's like, you know, well, you know where to find me, and maybe you can come to my place and we can finish up, and this time bring your handcuffs. It was awkward. I was like, ugh, are you like sexually harassing the Bae right now? Like, what are you doing?
It was weird too because for the rest of the series,
so cringy.
Yeah.
What were they doing right there? I don't fucking
I remember
know.
that moment distinctly because it was off because Luke exudes.
was off.
Yeah, he exudes sexuality throughout the entire series, and it works for him, except in that moment, and almost like because he was trying.
Oh, it was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad. I was just like, huh, huh. Like if I was Misty, I would have maced him.
So yeah.
I'm not lying. If I would have maced him in that moment, I've been like, no,
So
creepy, get out.
it was a little creepy. But so I'm gonna give one more negative, and then I'm gonna give the positive.
Okay.
The lighting of the show was bad, and I say that especially for Luke Cage. You want Luke Cage to be the shining hero, yet he was either overexposed or underexposed, so you could barely ever see his face. Problem with that I have is that whenever they did Cottonmouth, it was immaculate.
Yes.
Like they did a perfect job framing him.
Yeah.
Like several times, and I thought that was one of the best parts of the show is that they had so much symbology behind that character, and later on with Black Mariah. Yet you can't have the hero in the same light. He's always either in a shadow or he's washed out, and it's just like it really bothered me, and it bothered my wife even more when she pointed it out to me, and I couldn't really unsee it. Positives though, there was so much nuance in it, and even though there was it was clunky, the fighting, and it felt street to me. Like, it felt like it was about Harlem as much as it was about Luke Cage. So, even though there wasn't the great fighting scenes like there was in Daredevil, I felt like it was a Harlem fight. These people are not trained. They're not trained shooters either. These are gangsters, they're thugs, they're cops. These are people who don't want to actually be in fights. They're trying to survive, and because of that, it's frantic, they're scared, you know, or they're posturing, they're used to people, you know, you holding up a gun, they'll shy away, and then when Luke Cage doesn't, they get nervous. And
Fair
they do that a
enough.
really good job of that.
Fair enough.
And then, of course, you know, there's overt symbology with, like, the hoodie, which they touch on them several times.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they actually mention it. He says like, they call him like the man in the hoodie, or yeah.
And I thought that was great, and I'm really glad they went through that over, like, you know, old school, especially when back in time they had the open shirt, yellow jacket, and then modern times he just has a fitted yellow one. I'm glad they got rid of that and went to hoodie, because I think that worked for him. So, yep, I would say I'll give it about 7 out of 10, which is good. Like, I would say definitely go watch Luke Cage. It's worth watching. I think it has a lot to say, but if you want a pure superhero show, this is not for you. Yeah, like, I think of all the series, that's really only Daredevil so far.
Yeah. I think, and the other thing that for me was off about Luke Cage is and I talked about it last week, the pacing is really off.
I love the pacing. That's the weird
For
thing.
me, it was like in places it tried to move too quickly, and in places it was just way too slow. And then some of the dialogue was just so cringy, where I was like, what are you doing? That's one that stood out to me like a lot. Another one that stood out to me is like, that whole exchange, like when he first meets Misty, at first it's like kind of cute and they're flirting with each other, but the second she's outside the bar and he's like, I get off soon, and she's like, oh, you should probably head home then.
Want to get some coffee?
There's like no transition between her being like, dude, no, and her turning into like, you know, want to get coffee. Did you notice that?
I did notice
There's
that.
no transition.
See,
and it's not like a slow, like a slow, like, oh, I'm kind of warming up. No. She goes from like stone cold, like get the fuck away from me, to like banging him. It's like, what? I had to.
So, I actually noticed one thing, and I had to actually watch this. It's the same heart cup, or very similar to the one Jessica Jones with him and Luke Cage, where it's like, I'm put off by you because I'm strong, and then a second later, bang.
I just don't.
So, I can understand not getting it, but at the same time, they definitely had a certain flow. And as for like the pacing, I felt like everything was on a cadence, and I know they did that on purpose for some of the characters, where they were actually speaking as if they were rapping or they were in a play. So,
Right, and that's why I love Black Mariah. In my opinion, she's the best character on that show.
Black Mariah, I would say, and I love Shades. Like,
I love Shades.
Like-
When people like, I will tolerate no shade slander.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. Like, so many people are like, he's lame. I'm like, are you high? He's like one of the best people in that show.
so one of the things that made me fall in love with the show from the immediate part is Masali Ali. I saw him from the other Netflix show, which I can't think of right now. Kevin Spacey. House of Cards.
I
He
literally
was
started
brilliant in
doing
House of
that.
Cards. And then Theo Rossi was in Sons of Anarchy as a very different character in it. And it's great to see these characters who have always been kind of minor characters take prominence. Mm-hmm. And I think
For
of
me,
all
Black Mariah is the star of the show.
No, but she definitely is. I think
She has so much gravitas, like, on camera. Like, before she even spoke a line and she was in the room with Cottonmouth, I was like, she's the boss, not Cottonmouth.
So, we can actually see chat now. So, hey, everyone. I agree with you. I actually didn't like Diamondback either. I thought that was the weakest of the villains, even though he had the most... I was afraid of him more than any others, but I thought he was the most two-dimensional ones. I will not agree about Black Mariah. I think she had the most nuance of anyone, especially if you look at the predicament of a black woman in society, especially Harlem society, growing up in a gang family. It's like she tried very, very hard to be out of that. Yet, she got pulled back in, and that's something I love.
Yeah. There's so much I think her character is probably one of the best written because it actually shows like her and Cottonmouth and how they both see the same situation in two different lights. And their discussions about how one of them thinks that what he's doing is wrong and one of them thinks what they're doing is right. It is like the best conversation and dialogue that happens in that show happens between those two characters.
I
and
totally
their
agree.
Different treatment. Like, and I remember once he called her Black Mariah and the way she says, like,
oh my
do
God.
not call. I was like, oh yes. I like got up out of my chair. I was like, I was excited. And it's, you know, she has these moments where she's really calm and she's really laid back. But when she brings the hammer down, she brings the hammer down. I think she's probably the strongest character on that show.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though, because I gotta rewind a little bit when you were talking about Rosario Dawson's entrance when she beats up the guy.
Yeah!
That scene was probably one of the most powerful moments I've had in any Netflix series.
Yeah.
With Jadana doing Long Live the Chief. That was one of the most poignant moments.
Yes, the music was perfect, and her whooping his ass was perfect.
And music. I think that's a good thing to wrap up. I think Luke Cage perfectly emphasizes music and cinematography. And I think, like, people can learn a lesson from that because I felt it was perfectly catered. And I also love the fact that the scene when he goes into the prison, not really the prison, the hideout to get all the money out.
Yes.
They did a perfect fake out because in the preview they did ODB's Shimmy Shimmy Ya for it, but they switched it out and instead did a classic Wu-Tang song, which is not as popular, but it was more poignant. And I thought that was like perfect because I was getting ready to do the Shimmy Shimmy Ya, Shimmy Yay, and then it changed up, and I was like, oh. Just the change of the song made it completely different because before it was an action scene, but now you realize that he was out for blood. So, I think that's a good one to kind of transition off of. If you love music, especially hip-hop music, they nailed it in Luke Cage.
Yeah, no, they all the music inside of Cottonmouth Club is great too.
Yo, God.
I love all of it.
So, there was one sad point, which I need to share with it. The last episode of the series was supposed to have... this is not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. Okay.
The last episode of the series was supposed to have Prince in it. The reason why there was even the swear jaw in Luke Cage was for Prince. And unfortunately, he passed away, and so they couldn't do that. So, finding that out, I'm really sad because I wish I knew what he would have done there.
Yeah. We'll never know now.
Yeah.
I love Prince.
I
He's
love
our
Prince
hero. Hero. All right. Well. With that, I think we should probably cheer up a little bit, right? Let's move on to something slightly cheerier news. All right, so first up, did I do this right? I think I did this right. Sorry, guys, you'll have to bear with me. This is usually Zach's job, and he's not here today. So, the creators of Mouse Guard are actually, I know this is like a crazy subject change, but when we talk about Prince passing away, this is what I do, okay?
You get to talk about happy news.
We need to talk about happy news. If you're familiar with Mouse Guard, it's actually the super awesome pen and paper RPG. I think it started out as a comic book and then switched into a pen and paper RPG, or it may have been the opposite. But anyways, the creators of Mouse Guard are actually making an adaptation of Wind in the Willows. It looks great. It looks amazing. And the creators actually came out and said that The Wind in the Willows was a really big inspiration for them when they started making Mouse Guard. And so it's actually going to be part of a 60-plus issue series for IDW, in which they're going to be doing adaptations of a bunch of different classic books. And they're going to be turning them into comics. I'm really excited for them. I mean, that Mr. Toad is like tearing my heart into little pieces
It brings
right
back
now.
so many memories.
It does. It makes me feel like a child again, and I needed that after talking about Prince. I feel like for anybody to do this, these are the perfect people.
Yeah,
to do it.
I agree. It's like perfect Kismet. And I'm not always the biggest fan of IDW, but one thing they do really well is property transference. Bringing in things that are not traditionally comic books into the comic book format, they always done really, really well.
Yep.
So I trust them in this. Fun fact, I actually went to a school called Willowwind. Back when I was in grade school, from kindergarten through like a 4th grade because of Wind in the Willows.
Yeah.
That was why the school was named as that. So I read the book every year, kind of for like the
So do you
happy birthday.
especially like it?
I love Wind in the Willows.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been wanting to run a mouse guard game forever. Mostly because I grew up with Redwall.
Really? Oh man, Redwall is awesome.
But yeah, I'm really excited for it. So it's going to be like 60 different stories that they are converting into.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, it is. Let me tell. I'm 100% sure that I got that right, but I just need to double check that I got it right. I'm pretty sure I did. Yep. Okay, so that's happening.
That is.
I'm excited about it.
Yes.
It looks good. Next, we're just gonna. I guess let's just jump right into it. We're gonna watch the trailer for Ninjak.
If you haven't seen this, please. It is fun.
Here it goes. Here it goes. Oh, I gotta find the right tab. Hold up. Hold up.
You're showing all the
Hold up.
spoilers.
Hold up. Hold up.
What is
Hold
going
the
on?
door. Hold the door. Okay.
No, I don't want to hold the door. I know what happens when you hold the door.
Sorry. I don't do this, Scott. Get off the chat and get the thing.
Is
and
Scott in there? He is. Hi, Scott.
That's my Indian way of like the computers. Anyway. Welcome to Graphic Content. We're your hosts, Bronze and AJ.
Hello.
We're gonna watch the Ninjak trailer.
Good.
Me being a foolish person. Here it goes. I'm so excited. I don't know what I'm doing. We have sound, right? Yeah, we do. I think we have sound. Here it goes.
Bat in the sun.
Whatever comes through those doors has compromised our most secure level. No in or out.
I missed it the first time.
Only fire on my command.
You ready?
Take the shot.
Does that get loud?
Yeah. Yep.
Silly, y'all. Echo. Yeah.
Looking well, Mr. King.
Well, shit.
Shit.
That's a thing. That looks amazing. I don't know about you, that looks amazing to me.
So, like, it's such a weird thing, me and Ninjak, because I think Ninjak is like the epitome of 90s arrogance originally, because it's the white British guy appropriating ninja culture. I'm gonna say that straight up. Yeah, like Iron Fist, but that was in the 90s, and in the modern reboot, they have done such a good job of bringing nuance to a character, to it, and like, there's probably no better character, I think, to introduce the universe than Ninjak. And it's weird, because like, in the world full of Exo Man-O-Wars and Haradas, this is a guy who's super trained, has technology, he is suave as fuck, I'm just gonna say it now, and it's like, he has the perfect niche, and I would say he's the Batman of the Valiant universe.
I could agree with that.
Like, his power is money. Except more than that. It's like the Batman, Tony Stark sort of thing.
I feel like this project is really ambitious.
It is super ambitious.
Like, looking at it, I'm just like, they just kind of Like they didn't save anything for the money shot, you know? Like everybody's in there.
That's true. But at the same time, I think I wouldn't have been nearly as hyped with seeing only Ninjak and only Bloodshot.
That's true.
Like, knowing that they were doing the entirety of the Valiant universe makes me super hype.
I'm actually shocked that Armstrong is in there.
I am so happy about that, and I'm so happy.
I'm happy about it, but I'm shocked.
Well, so I saw Armstrong. I think I saw Gilad, the Eternal Warriors. They're definitely setting up unity in that.
Gilad, where?
I think he was the guy in the scruffy-looking armor, and he had like an axe, really briefly. And the only person who uses the axe in the Valiant is
I didn't
Eternal
see
Warrior.
an axe. Maybe I need to watch it again.
I need to watch it again. Maybe I was
didn't
wrong,
see
but I
it.
thought I saw Gilad. I just have an inordinate love of Gilad, so I might have just imagined it in my head.
I actually just started reading Wrath of the Eternal Warrior.
Oh, so
I'm
good.
up to like issue 5, and I really like it.
We'll be talking about that later. Trust me.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm not caught up with this one, which is 12, but I just got them, and it was actually like one of my local comic book stores had like a bunch of Valiant singles for $1, and I was just like, and I'll buy all of these. And so I've been reading like Divinity, and one in there was Eternal Warrior.
It is a great series,
Yeah,
but
so
here's another thing I love about it. It's Bad in the Sun, and if you guys don't know that, they did so many good web series before, and I think if they try to go the route that most of the studios are going these days with like the gritty, realistic thing,
we saw a knife go through Jason David Frank's face.
Well, here's the thing. That's
So-
campy. That's campy. That's violent. But it's not. When I say gritty, I mean they are not trying to go for the ultra serious. We're trying to be a triple, like a full production.
Wait, are you talking about like over the? Okay,
I love the over the top.
I like over the top violence. To me, that's adult. What do you mean by gritty?
By gritty, all right. So yeah, I should clarify myself. When I say gritty, I mean like the Netflix series. They were trying to humanize these characters, and like this, I feel like I'm watching comic
So you're talking
books.
about realism.
There we go. Realism.
So you were you wanted it to be more realistic?
No,
or?
I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. And
Yeah, no, that's cartoony as fuck, but I like it.
Yeah, I think Bad in the Sun was
Cartoony is a bad word, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like Sin City.
Exactly, it's over the top. It's like if I read the comic book and I imagined it in my head, that's what I'm seeing right there. I'm not seeing Netflix. You know, I love Netflix and I love the fight scenes in that.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm seeing in my head. I'm seeing like you punch you and you fly through the air 30 feet, and then you make a hero pose. That's what I see in my head, and that's right there.
From what we've seen, it's definitely comic booky, and I kind of like that about it. I feel like it has a really unique look and feel, and I think that's what's going to make people kind of perk up and take notice of it more so than usual.
I hope so, because I feel like, especially to people who are not fans of Valiant, it's very easy to dismiss Ninjak. Because on the surface, he is very common. Like, you have the Iron Fist of the world, you have, you know, some people use say like Sub-Zero, because even though he predated Sub-Zero, funny enough, and Scorpion, that sort of look.
But like that I was gonna say like that's type of aesthetic for ninjas has existed before Mortal
long
Kombat.
time.
So
Yeah, but I try to do that because that's what most people kind of recognize immediately when they see that type of ninja suit, because the other one is the all black one.
right.
So that said, I think that's another reason why they showed the entire Valiant universe, is that if you're afraid of that, now you get to see what this universe is about, which is this over-the-top power level where a normal human really has to be scared for themselves. And you saw that. You have a bunch of secret agents all shaking because they see one guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited.
And you kind of get to see that experience through our show
Oh, yeah.
because
Fake One.
we're kind of normal people.
Sort of.
Well, okay, let me put it this way. So on Mondays, AJ and I are part of a role-playing game called Vanquished, and we're affiliated with Valiant. And our characters are, well, my character totally isn't normal, but you have a group of characters who are seemingly normal and are new to their powers, and they get to come in contact with characters like the Eternal Warrior. And last week you guys met Archer, and that was or Monday. That was like 2 days ago. You
It
guys
was only
met
2
Archer.
days ago.
Yeah, like I said last week, because I'm already looking forward to next week.
We missed
but
you.
I missed you guys. I watched a big chunk of it. It was mostly action. I was like, wow, they get into trouble without me.
We
Didn't
handled
even
ourselves.
need
We
me
didn't
for
kill
trouble.
anyone. Well, we killed one person.
No, I was there. You guys killed somebody.
One out 32.
Don't try to freaking hide it.
We'll get to that in a little bit because we need to do a recap.
Yeah, you know, Alara whipped his arm around and cracked his neck in half, so don't lie to me.
It was kind of
I
badass.
keep track. I'm keeping, believe it or not, Glitch has a little notebook, and she's got little tally marks next to everybody's name and how many people y'all have killed, so.
Though. 0. Oh!
You bit somebody in half. Thank you
No,
for
no,
the
no.
follow, Rocky Road.
Thank you, Rocky Row. No, that was Geist. Geist has a body count.
No, I can't. No,
I'm trying to think. Has Cross killed anyone yet? And I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
Cross, no, but I count Geist under yours.
Oh, definitely. No,
Yeah.
Geist is the biggest murderer on the team.
Yeah, so, yep, I'm counting. And sorry to break it to you, Lizzie. You're in the chat too. You killed some motherfuckers as well.
Let's save that for a little bit later because I think we should keep this train rolling with the
Yes,
Valiant New York
yes.
Comic Con because they also had a bunch of interviews with the cast.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on track. So
It's all
here, we're not going to watch the whole thing. Thank you for the follow, Labby Poker.
Oh, Poker.
So basically, this is just the characters from the show. They're gonna be talking about themselves and what characters they're playing. We're not gonna play the whole interview because it is like an hour long, but we've got a bit of it queued up for you here. Oh my gosh, where'd my mouse go?
It's down here. So.
It's down here. Okay, boom. Look at that. Professional.
You guys want to meet the cast?
On point.
You guys want to meet the cast?
So, without further ado, let's bring up Colin King himself, Ninjak in the flesh, Mr. Michael Rowe.
You know, sound is off.
Oh, sound is off? Oh.
Should I pause it? Do we play it? Pause it. Okay.
And of course, no battle against the Valiant Universe.
Yeah, we're gonna pause that for a moment.
So I want to say something really quick. I don't think we even touched about the casting. They did a tremendous job with their casting.
Yes. I
Every
agree.
character looked exactly how I imagined them. So like that's bravo. Like look at that.
Look at that. I was gonna say. Look at how
My girlfriend George. No.
close, but not quite. No, that's not quite who we're talking about here.
No. That would be kind of funny though if it was Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs.
From Dirty Jobs as Ninjak. Maybe in.
So I can make sure that it's okay before you guys play.
What do you want me to do?
Press play.
Press
I wanna
play.
make sure
Oh.
it's okay.
Out Bloodshot, played by Jason David.
Is it good?
Let's pause there anyway because Tommy,
I know, Jason, David, Frank.
dude, if you grew up in the 90s,
Okay,
we're
she
good?
thinks it's okay. I think we're good. So we're gonna play. In
I just want to have
here.
a fandom moment because
Yeah.
all right,
He's perfect.
I'm gonna admit it. I watched the fuck out Power Rangers as a kid.
Have you seen the new trailer for the new Power Rangers?
Yes, let's not talk about that right now.
Are you not into it?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I'd say, but the green / White Ranger, this was my hero, and then he like his career went to weird places, and he went up and did MMA
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
He actually can fight,
Yeah.
and so like seeing him as Bloodshot was just
Yeah. No, he looks amazing.
Mm.
I'm actually kind of dressed like a Power Ranger today.
you are. You'd be the
Yeah.
Black Ranger just because you have the black
would.
shirt.
Yep, yep. And like this denim vest with the buttons on it.
So
no,
what-
I'm totally a Power Ranger.
I guess I'm the not Ranger at all. I'll be like the person who needs to be saved. Save me.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll save you. I kind of always dress a little bit like a Power Ranger, but you know that's fine. I'm not gonna try to steal the spotlight from Jason David Frank.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, let's do it. Everyone's chanting it.
Next up, one of Valiant's most iconic heroes, Exo Manowar, as played by Mr. Derek Miller.
Somebody's really hype.
They like the perfect square shoot in. Look at that. Look at that jaw. You can cut rock on that.
Coming up next, Ninjak's deadliest adversary, Chantel Berry,
Roku.
is Roku. You saw him in the trailer. Welcome, Mr. Kevin Porter as
I know that
Armstrong.
that's great
Yeah.
casting too. He
That's-
looks good. He looks good. There, he doesn't look as close, but once he's got the facial
Yeah.
hair on him, he looks better.
The only thing I would say is he's not heavy set.
And last but not least, one of Valiant's most powerful heroes, Sierra Foster.
Okay,
as
she
Livewire.
looks great. She looked amazing in the
Livewire is my favorite character who does not have a series of her own.
She was actually a huge part of the inspiration for Glinda Chambers.
Really?
Yeah.
And our final cast member, Mr.
Yeah.
John Morrison.
I was
as
right.
the
You were right.
Troyer.
You were right. Okay. I didn't see him for I didn't catch that glimpse of him.
John would love to have been here, but he has a wrestling engagement, the prior
Wrestling
engagement.
engagement.
So he sends his love, sends his best wishes
From Rome.
from Rome.
He's in Rome.
I thought he was from parts unknown.
So you guys just saw the trailer. Michael Rowe obviously looks amazing as Ninjak. Let's talk about the suit and the costuming a little bit. Mike, how did it feel putting on the Ninjak suit for the very first time?
The first time I put it on, it was just the first layer, which is really, really shiny, metallic silver, skin-tight suit with mesh up the front, and I felt like I was getting ready to do like a 70s disco. So, but
Good, you look good.
thank you, man. We should put some photos of that out there. Yeah, it came out great. I was really happy with the work. I think, you know, we were all concerned, how would it move, how would, you know, the fight scenes go in it, but it looks great on camera, and it's easy to move in, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. How many people did it take to build that suit?
Was it 5? It was, yeah, about 5 or 6.
Cool.
But it took an awesome actor to make it look cool.
Oh.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now, Jason, you might have the most arduous makeup process of all on set. What does it take to transform you into Bloodshot?
Well, Chrissy Lynn did a great job of that in about 2.5 hours
Obviously,
before.
they make up the Bloodshot.
It was definitely different kind of role for me, you know, because it's easier to put
Yeah,
spandex
because
on
looking,
and,
he's not
and
that
go.
big of a guy. He is
So,
fit. He's
being
like, you
painted up
don't
and
get
all
that
that stuff,
sort of
it was
muscle
great.
and actually
He's
be a really
Bloodshot,
good
that's always,
martial artist, but he looks
stand
like a
up and stand up
bodybuilder
and
in
say
it.
hi to everybody. He's always cosplaying.
Hey!
He's a pretty dedicated fan, so yeah, it took about 2.5 hours and like 35, 40 minutes maybe to get off, something like that. I did want to sleep in it. She said no. I was like, no, I just want to sleep in it.
My favorite part is when all the makeup's off except for your ears are still white. Yeah.
And under my eyes, and I had to drive like that to LA, and I got out of the hotel. I'm still kind of like zombie-ish looking, you know. They're like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." I'm thinking we're getting invaded or something, you know.
But you change, man. When you put the makeup on, you're a different person. What
Yeah.
happens there? What happens mentally?
It's great because you guys ever put sunglasses on and feel safe behind sunglasses? You guys ever said, you know, it's easier to tell people, "I'm sorry, I can't do that," behind glasses than it is looking eye to eye? That's kind of what it was to be Bloodshot. It was just kind of like, yeah, I get to be behind this character, you know. And then it was kind of like wearing the sunglasses. It was cool. Definitely different though.
Chantel, everyone else here is a hero, but you're the sole villain. You're the big bad of Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. What was it like being the only villain on set?
Well, it was fun to actually be mean and not feel guilty about it. But, well, tough crowd. No, it was incredible. I mean, Chrissy Lynn really transformed me with the makeup, and I think once I had the entire outfit on and the hair, and I looked at myself, I was like, yeah, that's badass. That's a villain. And so it was really cool to be able to bring Roku to life, you know.
Cool. Now, Derek, you certainly
Yeah,
look the
he
part
does.
of Exo Manowar.
Yeah.
Who
He
thinks
really
Derek's going to be an
does.
awesome
Like,
Exo?
Alaric, I think probably would
Exo Manowar is not only one of the most
He is
iconic
taller
Valiant
than him.
characters,
He is
one of the
so
most iconic in
fucking-
all of
look at-
comics.
he's
What are
like
you
a
looking
head
forward
above
to the
everybody
most
else.
about being the first guy to bring Arc of Dacia to life?
I'm pumped. I've been a fan of the comics. I've read all of the comics as soon as I was aware of the project, and I am so excited to be the first guy to actually
Oh, is
play
that
this character in
true?
live action. And
That's even
I'm
more.
stoked about the suit. It's going to look just like the comic book, and it's going to be a blast. I'm so excited to be a part of this project, to be here.
Awesome. Now, Kevin Porter, You were doing an amazing job playing Armstrong. Armstrong's a guy who knows how to have a good time and kick some butt too.
Hey, it's Olivia Daddy.
What kind of preparation did you have to do to become a 5,000-year-old inebriated immortal?
Well, I worked hard on the drinking part. That was my homework. They wanted me to come in at 270 pounds, 275 pounds. I started out at 230, 235. And Armstrong, when I was first offered the role, I said, wow, he's kind of big. And I'm being kind when I say big. And Aaron's just like, get as big as you can. And so then I started the training regiment of donuts and pizza and chili cheese fries. It's all work. I suffer for the arts. I suffer for the arts.
Me too, bro.
All right. So yeah, Josh and I were training together on all you can eat hot dogs. So you know, grow the beard, and then you have that physical transformation, and then you've got the text that basically gives you the framework, and you look like it, and you're saying the words, and then the subtext just comes out. And these characters are so iconic and so beautiful that you just play it like an instrument.
How are you getting along with Archer these days?
Well, as you can see, he's not here right now, so he gets a little shy, he gets a little intimidating. So.
Now, Sierra, you have the distinctive pleasure of playing Livewire, without a doubt, one of Valiant's most powerful characters. Also going to be the first... Yeah, let's have a round of applause for Livewire.
I really feel like Livewire does nothing.
And you were going to be the first person to go head-to-head with Ninjak in Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. First day on set, what was it like battling it out with Micro as Ninjak?
Oh, it was a pleasure. What if that was all I said?
Choose these words wisely.
Right, I'm like, oh. It was amazing. I was super stoked as a comic book fan. First and foremost, I was elated to be a strong woman and to kick some butt and not let you guys know I went hard in the paint. Sorry, I used to play basketball for 11 years. Everything is related to a basketball terminology. I went hard in the paint because I gained 8 pounds of muscle just to take him down. So, you got it. And I kept it on. So I'm very upright in the bodysuit.
Do you hear that, Warren? Warren Simons, our editor-in-chief, is in the audience. Warren Simons' favorite character in the world might be Livewire.
That's a good
Now you have competition.
Now, one of the distinctive things about Superpower Beatdown that a lot of fans have noticed is
but if
not
you
just
do
the
want
action,
to
not
watch
just the
the
fight.
rest of this, you definitely can. It is actually on the Hyper RPG YouTube. You can also check our VODs if you're a subscriber. We actually live streamed the entire Valiant, all the Valiant panels.
Except for a secret part, which still Zach won't tell us about.
Yeah, there was a secret portion, but the rest of it is on the VODs, and I believe it's all on the YouTube as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you're interested in more of the really cool announcements Valiant had lined up for us at Comic-Con. I think they also announced that we are their official partner for Valiant Digital.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, you're at that channel. You're on the channel that's the official partner for Valiant Digital. You're here right now at this special place.
Yep.
Think about that right now. Like, just think about your life and what led you to be here and how that just makes
you
so
all
much.
a pretty damn big deal.
Yeah. Big fucking heroes, man. All right.
Also means that we probably should become superheroes one of these days.
Probably. We're already halfway there.
I thought we were kind of heroic this week, but you know what? We'll get to that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm heroic every week, but then everyone else is like, you're a bad person. I'm like, what? No, I'm like the best person though.
I got a song for you.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna do a Valiant recap. So for those of you who missed Valiant Vanquished on Monday, we're gonna do a recap. I was one of the people who missed it. I had food poisoning. There's a funny story behind that. But AJ's gonna catch us all up on what the heck went down on Monday. Thank you guys for
thank
all
you
the
so
bits.
much.
There's like a bits battle going on. I'm just imagining the cup filling up and then just splashing everywhere when the heavier bits fall in.
See, I would just wish I was on your side so that it falls on me. I can make it rain. I could be as a
There
film.
you go. You could do your little shimmy thing.
Shimmy, y'all,
Yeah,
shimmy, y'all,
there-
shimmy, yay.
Yeah, your little thing that you do.
So is it time for the Valiant recap?
Not yet, because we have a couple of other images that AJ's gonna get super excited over. Okay, other news that we have this week. We have the first image of let me pull it up. If I'm pulling it up, I'm so bad at pulling things up. Not that one. We have the first image of Amber Heard as Mira or Mara, depending on how you
I
say
do Mira.
it. You do Mira?
I do Mira.
What happened?
Move the mouse.
Oh, sorry.
So Mira, if you guys don't know, is the wife and queen of Atlantis. Oh, sorry, wife of Aquaman.
Of Atlantis? No, of Aquaman.
Wife of Aquaman, queen of Atlantis. Yeah. Also one of the most powerful sorceresses in the DC universe. I don't even know what it's gonna be like in the movieverse, but she is an utter badass and she takes no shit.
Yes. And in the current run with Rebirth, she's actually been a really prominent role. So if you're one of those people that's like, I'm still not sure on the ins and outs of Aquaman, if you're one of those people that still think he talks to fish, definitely check out the Rebirth run. We're only up to, I think, issue 4 or 5. Wait, no, we might be up to 6 now.
I think it's a little bit further with Aquaman. I think it's like 8 or 9, but I'm not sure.
I'm current on it. That's what I do know. But all of the rebirths are still in single digits.
Yeah, like, people were asking me earlier today, where is Malika at? Because she was asking the question of where is a good place to start if you're a brand new comics fan? Right now it's DC.
Please, tell me.
Come here.
I must know.
Hi, Malika.
Everybody.
So, right now...
I'm really fucking overwhelmed. Where do I start?
Where do you start?
For the big two, is DC, 100%.
Yes.
Because they just went through Rebirth, which is like kind of a rebranding.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Marvel or DC? You're saying DC?
Right now.
Right now,
Why? Okay.
So there's two
Let me
reasons.
know.
One is that Rebirth is happening. You can actually see with all these comics.
Shit, so what does Rebirth mean?
Rebirth
I don't
is
know anything. I just watched Batman the Animated Series when I was a kid.
We've hit the reset button on the whole DC
So you get
universe.
like origin stories and stuff?
Yeah.
Sort of.
I like that stuff.
So they
All
do
right,
a really
cool.
interesting thing with DC where some of their cast and titles get reset from the beginning.
I was gonna fix it.
And then some of them have like extended backstories and then kind of explore it.
Hey, thanks for the bit.
Thank you so much for the bits.
And while Malika appeared.
Wow, Malika.
I should have the theme.
I know.
the like really annoying. Great.
I was thinking of like a dun
Malika.
I think that works. You might have something right there.
Oh, hey, thanks for following.
Phoenix. This is like DC's 5th reboot, right? Kind of no. So basically, this is the after. We're gonna get a little bit nerdy on you.
Okay.
This is basically
I got my glasses on.
the aftermath of the Flashpoint incident. So basically, the timelines have shattered. Is that a good way to put
That's
it?
probably the best way to put it.
And they've all kind of bits and pieces of different continuities have come together to create this kind of new universe that takes pieces from old continuities.
Right.
So if you're new, it's a great place to jump on board.
Okay.
It's not necessarily origin stories because all of our superheroes are already wearing their costumes and they're already doing this, so you don't have to bother with the whole like my aunt died and I just found.
No,
you
and
don't
then I
have to
became
deal with
all right.
Yeah, so they're all
and then I put
in
on
costumes,
the mask.
but they actually go through the trouble of explaining some stuff and setting up the universe for you because it's written from the point of view of somebody
So
who doesn't know what's going
I'm a
on.
little confused. So DC Universe rebooted like everything that is DC?
It's less reboot and more of for years what they like to do is shatter their universe into sub-universes. So
and
like
how often does this happen? Like every 10 years or something?
well, it used to be every 10 years and now it kind of sped up to every 5 years.
Oh.
But what it does do, and it's a really nice thing for new readers, is that it gives you a jumping off point. And that's why I say
but that's still like a huge universe.
There
so
is.
like where should I jump on?
So I like to always say number 1 through number 4 is always best.
Okay.
Right here I have All-Star Batman. Which
All-Star Batman.
Yep. Which is a really good place because they will always do backstories and kind of set the tone of both the book and the characters in the first 3 episodes. In the first 3 issues, rather. So whenever you see early issues, jump on them, which is why I say DC Rebirth is
When
the
did this
perfect
start?
time. This started about 4 months ago.
Oh,
I
interesting.
believe.
So I can
it's right
catch
there.
up.
Yes, you can
It's
catch up.
really easy to catch up.
Nice thing about earlier issues too is that you can get the back orders for them a lot easier. Once you get to like 15 or 16, you have to special order them.
All right.
Luckily, we have the interwebs now.
Yes, so I like to read things on a tablet. I have a Kindle and an iPad. How do you, like, what do I do?
You can use Comixology.
Oh, Comixology.
I believe there's even a link below.
I've heard about this thing, Comixology. So you just click that, and then you can hook up your devices and get all the comics to your hands.
You can.
Yes.
Yes.
The internet is cool.
Yes.
Also,
So,
like you guys.
If you're interested in the Aquaman movie, you can actually jump on pretty quickly because Aquaman they've been a part of this whole. It's been a part of this rebirth sequence.
Right.
And so when you start reading it, you kind of get to know a lot about this character, Mira, and everything about her.
Oh,
and how she
interesting.
ties into Aquaman. There's a lot of misconceptions about Aquaman out
I
there.
don't know crap about Aquaman.
So I would say like
I have not
He's a
formed
cool
any.
dude. He's probably one of the strongest characters in the DC universe. He's
Yeah.
probably one of the strongest characters on the Justice League.
Yeah, I would probably say so. And I think, I don't know, people just think of Super Friends. That's
Well,
yes.
and okay, I've got to set the record straight right now because I hear it so much. Aquaman doesn't talk to fish. Aquaman bends fish to his will.
Yes,
and he
that's
has
right.
been known to bend or to use suggestion on humans from time to time as well. Suggestion. So it's almost like a hypnotism.
Okay.
But it's almost like saying Professor X talks
Sure.
to people when really Professor X bends people to his will, right?
I don't know.
He could. If
Well,
he
what
was
about
evil.
like Ant-Man when the ants, like he
He's
has that thing?
Yeah, he doesn't talk to ants. He
Yeah,
controls
He
them.
controls them.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Aquaman
There's
does.
a fine line there. Fine line.
So here's
He's
one of the
not
best.
like having a conversation with cuttlefish.
My favorite scene from Aquaman, which comes from 52, which is the previous universe, but it's still sort of in the same, is that he beats up a bad guy and he gets hungry, so he goes to a fish shop. He opens the door and they all stare at him because he's ordering, fish and chips. And they're like, "Don't you talk to fish?" And he looks so annoyed.
Yeah.
And-
That's
Fish aren't
hilarious.
smart enough to carry a conversation.
Aquaman, confirmed fish bender.
Yes, he's
Yes.
basically a fish bender.
Wait, you just brought up another universe. So how... I'm such a noob to all this stuff. All right, I'm speaking for you noobs, any comic noobs in the chat room. How do you keep track of what is what? Because I literally have a trunk full of comic books from Zach in my car right now, and I don't know like what is what.
So I have really two big suggestions. Wikipedia.
Wiki.
Wikis,
All right,
not just
Wiki.
Wikipedia, but both of the
Oh, like
big
comic
two
book, yeah.
have their own wikis
Mhm.
for them. That's,
Yeah, it even shows like a character's height and stuff.
yeah,
right?
so that's a good way to kind of catch up on the knowledge because even though there are hundreds and hundreds of issues to things to catch up on, especially if you haven't been there for a couple of years,
yeah.
they're like soap operas.
Sure.
They don't go that fast.
Mhm.
It is very easy to catch up on. Sometimes it's just easier to get the recap than it is to read every single issue.
I actually usually recommend for people to read trade paperbacks.
Well, that was my number two.
Yeah.
Trade paperbacks
They're a
are
lot easier to get into than single issues because single issues, you don't just have Batman. No. You have Batman Detective Comics, All-Star
Yeah,
Batman.
I know.
And you have all these different branching offs, and so sometimes, I mean, right now there's even 2 different Green Lantern stories. There's Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps, and then there's the Green Lantern Corps, and then there's the Sinestro Corps. So
And then there's also the one on Earth with wow.
Me too. Right. My suggestion is don't store them in the trunk. They just came from California just now, last week. And I'm like, just pick them up. Isn't that crazy?
Can I
Zach
come
has
over?
that many comic books.
Can I come over?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I would
so
have anxiety because you'd have to sort all of those.
I have a.
You'd have to bag
No,
them
that's
and board
all-
them and
they-
alphabetize them. And
They're bagged and board, and so Zach used to have huge racks on the wall. Then he moved to Seattle, and I was still living in that apartment. And it was my responsibility to do something with it. And I'm like, I don't know. And he didn't give me like a budget to like really take care of them. And luckily, I had a friend who got hired by Microsoft, where they like pay to move all your stuff. And I'm like, can you take some of my stuff, please? And he's like, yeah, sure. So that's how I should use Google, sorry. But yeah, same thing. All right, I have a question because somebody brought it up in the chat room. Is it true the 90s were shit for comic books?
Yes.
Yes? Is that true?
So there's actually a lot of context to it.
All right, tell me about this. I hear
right.
this all the time.
So 2 things happened in the 90s. Like my rule is 2 a lot today, but
Let me lay it down for you. Sorry.
Snuggle in.
I'm just
First
an
of all,
elbow.
there was a break off of artists, a lot of large scale artists and writers from the big 2. They wanted to do their own thing, and that's how Image, that's how Wildstorm, all these places happened.
Right.
And what they found out is that it's a lot harder to make comics than they thought originally without all the back end production and editorial that they had before. First of all.
Marketing.
Second of all, it was the emergence of the crossover. In particular, they found that people will buy a lot more comics if they have to read, like, number 1 and continue the
Liefeld.
Maximum
I
Carnage.
think they started
yeah.
on pouches.
Yeah. So that happened in the early 90s, and what also happened is that investors started getting involved. They saw comics as because this is the time when people found their 50s and 60s comic books, and they were selling them at auctions for tens of thousands of dollars. And so investors started saying, "Hey, if you buy these comics, in 20 years it'll be worth thousands of dollars," and everyone wants to start buying
And
it.
then there's the books that are like the value of your issues, right?
So it became a commodity item, and it became artificially inflated because of that. You had hundreds of thousands of people buying it just because they thought it would be worth money, and then the bubble burst.
People are saying extremely crappy stories, horrible cover variants, crap art,
Yeah.
and copycats.
It was very clearly just a cash grab.
It was a cash grab.
And everyone saw through it.
In terms of like vintage comics, because I enjoy the campiness of like the first X-Men issue ever. I'm like, oh, Xavier is cool and stuff. So where would you say the drop-off point is? Because I'm not gonna catch up on decades worth of comic books. Like what is that kind of retro comic golden campiness golden
Well, for
years?
X-Men, it was like 1 through 45 because after 45, they actually just repeated 1 through 45. 45 through 90 was a repetition
Pretty
of 1
much.
through 45. So.
And then when do you think it started getting good again?
So here's the weird thing I would say about 90s, and I should say
Also, when we all grew up, right?
We all grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad books, but there are also a lot of good books.
Yeah, I read a lot of the indie stuff. So, like, for me, it was all about Preacher, Why the
Mhm.
Last Man, Watchmen, Promethea, Swamp Thing.
Even a big, and then there were things from Wildstorm, for example, Gen 13, The Authority. Actually, Authority was towards the end, but Stormwatch. So there's all these good books that were coming out. There was the rise of Warren Ellis. There was a rise of some of these big names that came up in the 90s. So there were good things in the 90s, but the thing is, you had to dig through them. Now I feel like we're spoiled. Like,
That's true. There's
I can
a lot
pick
of
up
good
a random
stuff.
book in this
They're
list.
all beautiful.
And most of them are going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't think happened in the 90s. So
I lived in Dark Horse growing up. Me too. I was like kind of out of it, and I was like, Dark Horse is cool.
Dark Horse
It has
is
manga.
Yeah, Dark Horse,
So-
IDW, Image.
I like totally interrupted you guys. What were you going to talk about next?
Oh, we were talking about Mira.
All right.
And Mira, if you see the image over there, is,
Sure.
like I said, the wife of Aquaman and the queen of Atlantis. And this is what she's going to look like in the new Aquaman movie.
What?
And I just want to say,
She
just
looks so cool.
look at her for a moment. Look at Jason Momoa. And imagine their children. Imagine their children right now, because those are going to be some gorgeous children.
Yeah, they'd be
I
pretty
think
hot.
I just love how regal she looks because I feel like sometimes we miss the mark with them.
Sure,
And that's one thing, like when people always say Aquaman is lame or whatever.
Mhm.
I think that if you do pick up the new Rebirths, one
Okay.
thing that they nail really well in the Aquaman Rebirth is that he does the very difficult job of basically playing a diplomat between, you know, Atlantis and Earth.
Yeah.
He has a very important political role because he is like the king of the seas. So he has a very unique position. Sometimes he has to keep the best interests of his kingdom at heart. At the same time, he has to earn the trust of like the landwalkers.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about
And
that.
usually he's actually very like diplomatic and sweet. And Mira here is usually just like, screw these people, I'm getting you out of jail. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I can't bust out of jail. That would harm their trust. And she's like, screw these people, I'm getting you out.
So I'm like totally out of the loop. When is this coming out?
I think next year, early next year,
year?
because it's coming out
Next
before
year.
the Justice League movie. I know that.
Wait, I don't think we've gotten a trailer yet either.
No, we haven't
We just
yet.
have images, so we don't
Yeah.
even have a trailer yet.
What? Why
So-
tease me? You're teasing me.
So Mira's, so I'm gonna put this. This is fan service just for Scott. We miss you, Scott. We love you. You should come back next week for graphic content. Mira is a better Medusa. Boom, I said it. A better
Hey,
Medusa.
thanks for phoning.
Thank you.
I can't
I'm just gonna mic
In-
drop that.
Inhuman slander happening here on Graphic
Oh
Content
right,
Live.
you're a fan of the Inhumans.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Oh no, you're an X fan.
X-Men till I
Boom.
die.
X-Men.
I actually was gonna get like the X-Force tattoo thing that.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that Psylocke has on her arms.
Yeah, that would
So
be
yeah, I am
neat.
I'm beside myself when I saw this because one, I love Aquaman.
Yeah.
Two, I love the Aquaman movie. In the world of DC where I hate everything DC,
Mhm.
he's my shining light. And number three, I love Amber Heard and I have a crush on her. And if you hear this, Amber Heard, I love you very much. I'm married, but if I wasn't, I would be pursuing you right now. That's creepy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna shut up now.
That was okay. Let's just let's
Calm
just
down
move
there.
on. Let's move on from this now. We're just gonna close this image now because Sorry,
It's
Malika.
too stimulating.
To put you through that.
It's okay.
Thank you so much for
thank you.
joining us.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making it awkward, AJ.
Oh, I'm here anytime. I
you
feel
know.
like without Scott and without Zach,
Yeah.
you had to make it awkward somehow.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm definitely gonna try this DC Universe Rebirth. I'm like, cool. They threw away everything else, so we can start over again.
Basically,
right?
yeah. They just took pieces from the old stuff that they wanted to keep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what really threw me off? So I used to collect Harley Quinn comics because I love that character. And I would be reading, and I'm like, cool, story. They changed the artist 3 pages
So-
in. They changed the artist again.
Sadly, that still happens.
That happens a lot.
That is gonna always happen,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something I can relate to because it's a production thing.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to comics, everyone there are more or less freelancers. They
Yeah.
have more than one book. They have
Yeah.
timelines. So you have to do what it takes to make things on time, and
Right.
sometimes that means getting substitute artists.
Sure.
Sometimes it means rushing art. Sometimes it means rushing writing. It's just the realities of our world. When you have something that comes out every month or every few months,
Yeah.
you gotta keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also why I say I don't suggest Marvel right now, because right now they're in a production hellhole. Right now the big event is Civil War 2,
Mm-hmm.
but right now there's so many production delays on Civil War, the main Civil War book,
Mm-hmm.
that it's all the other titles that are the solo titles and team books are talking about Civil War being over, and they're only on
not
what
a- yeah.
5 of 8 or 6 of
Yeah.
8, something like that. They're not over yet, but everyone's treating it as if it's over, and it's confusing, and I follow
It's very
it.
confusing.
So to a new reader, I don't even know.
I don't think Civil War is that great, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
So I say, if you're a fan of Marvel, if you like X-Men, if you like
I love
Adventure,
X-Men.
wait till next year. Like that's what I say. Next year, it's gonna be better.
Okay.
Like I have feelings. I've heard stories, rumors. Next year that's when they're gonna try to start pushing again. And usually, in general, after big events, that's when everything settles.
Yeah. People always say like the big event is the good part. I like the part
Yeah.
after the big event.
Yeah, that's me too. Because the big event is usually the ending. I feel
Like the setup.
Yeah, that's like when they're upheaving the world, and then they have to figure out what am I gonna do next.
So you guys like that post-apocalyptic shit?
No.
No.
Nope, not a fan
No,
of
no,
that.
no, no.
Yeah, and it actually broke my heart when Wildstorm tried to do the post-apocalyptic world, and then they folded into DC. And so, if you guys don't know, and I don't think I told you, I love Wildstorm. It's probably my favorite imprint ever. So, like last week when you told me that Wildstorm was coming back as his own, I got super excited.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the realities of being a comic fan. It's cyclical. There's gonna be some high points,
Yeah.
and then there's
Yeah.
gonna be post-apocalyptic points.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic.
That's always the low point for me because it's always gonna go there, and then I'm gonna get sad because it's
Aw.
always bad. Like, leave post-apocalyptic to its own book. Make it its own setting. Don't try to bring Cyclops there. Don't try to bring in Mira there.
All right, so I guess I'm different than you guys. I like seeing heroes get hurt because that's when you see when they're really strong, is when they can pick up the pieces and kind of move forward. So if I like that kind of story, what should I be reading right now? What's the new stuff that's telling that kind of
There's a
narrative?
whole lot of stuff like
Yeah,
that. And like I
it's
said,
very generic.
yeah. So when I say post-apocalyptic is bad, I mean for things that are modern books that I want context to.
Sure.
But there are things like, for example, Britannia, which is back in the past. That's not post-apocalyptic, but it is a rougher time. There's things like
Sure.
War Mother, both Valiant books. What else are there?
Valiant.
You know, as far as picking up the pieces and moving forward,
Yeah, for
I would
sure.
have to say like one of my favorite books in that vein has almost kind of been the Nightwing books.
Oh,
Because
really?
basically Dick Grayson has spent the last however many years in the comic book universe undercover as a spy
Yeah.
working for an intelligence organization called Spiral, and now he's kind of back in Gotham.
Sure.
So it's been like a weird transition
Yeah,
for him. And
yeah.
he's been like discovering his own moral compass, and he actually went, you know, undercover with the Court of Owls, which is like basically the Illuminati. And I feel like it's not super dark and gritty,
Sure.
and it's a nice light
Sure.
read, and it's funny because it's a Dick Grayson
Yeah, I've
comic.
been
But it's also very much like him putting the pieces of everything back together, because he kind of had everything taken away from
Yeah,
him, including
yeah,
his name.
right.
And now he has his identity back, he has everything back, and it's him trying to make heads or tails of it.
Yes.
And we also get to see exactly how different he is from Batman, because we see them kind of, their moral compasses.
Kind of juxtaposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I kind of feel that way about Luke Cage, like the Netflix show, and I've been reading Silk.
Oh, yeah.
Because Zach's
Yeah,
like,
Silk's
hey,
good.
you'll like this. And she gets separated from her family. She's been in a bunker forever. She finally like almost meets her my brother that I've been looking for, and it's like the world ends.
Yep.
So that's always really interesting to me because it's like, how are you really super?
Yep.
All right.
I agree with that.
I like Silk. It's a good book.
I do too.
Yeah, it's just like the reason why, and I know people have been talking about this in chat. I'm reading it now. I'm sorry, I wasn't reading it before. For me, it's just always that whenever you pull the post-apocalyptic stuff, it's always pulling everyone out of their storylines into something new, and it always breaks continuity, and it's always temporal. So what happens is it becomes a side story, and it breaks the flow of a story, and then they have to recover from it, and it never really feels right to me, and that's why I'm like, it's one of my knee jerks. Is if you tell me that Batman is going into the far future where everyone's dead, I'm gonna be like, nah. That's personal.
AJ.
That's personal taste.
You're no fun. You're a big old fuddy-duddy.
I'm a fuddy-duddy.
Get outside of your box and get...
I like my box, though. I spent 20 years building this box to protect myself.
So I see Suicide Squad.
That was just for you, because you said Harley Quinn.
For me? Yeah, I love Harley Quinn. She's awesome.
She's cute.
I think I really liked... Well, so the whole series kind of focuses on, like, after the Joker stuff, which I actually relate to a lot. I don't know what that says about me. And it's just, like, girls having fun and not, like, in a world where men don't matter, kind of. Yeah. Like that, and I really like that. So it's just, like, her and then Poison Ivy, and, of course, that doesn't work out, but...
I love you so much right now.
But it's just, like, men don't matter. No, sorry.
Yeah, basically.
Hashtags.
Yeah. The comic is very obviously kind of doesn't have any like real main.
Sure, but I have so one of my best friends. I don't know if you know the artist Rebecca Mock. She does stuff with Hope Larson, and she's like an illustrator for the New York Times and stuff. She started collecting those with me, but sometimes we would see some of the spreads and it would be like Harley on a motorcycle crashing through the window, and then Poison Ivy would be down the back, but they'd be both kind of like, if I could show my butt and my arch at the same time, and we'd be like, is this for men or for women? It was definitely drawn by men, you know?
The male gaze is a powerful thing.
I know, but we both identify as queer, so we're kind of like, but I like it too.
I always feel like the way Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti have treated the new run is a lot more playful.
Sure, yes. It has definitely evolved, but that is like a series that has had
like, there's
so many
scenes
artists.
when they're in bed together, like after like, it's almost like post-slumber party.
Sure.
Probably it's like, is this playful or is this meant to kind of like make you be like
titillating?
Yeah,
it is titillating.
But there are parts like when I'm flipping through it because I really don't like sexual stuff.
Sure,
I never get triggered. I'm just kind of like, it's cute.
It is cute.
Unlike other comics where sometimes I'm like, I feel there was actually a New 52 Suicide Squad run and it made me really uncomfortable. And there were times where like Deadshot and Harley would be like going at it like in a hotel room, and the way it was drawn just felt really filthy. I was like,
so like I'm gonna put DC on blast really quick because New 52 was really egregious with that.
Yeah, it was really sexual.
Yeah,
and
like,
there was just times where I was like, I feel like Harley Quinn is kind of a whore. And the way they treat her, like the way they drew her and stuff, was kind of like she was just there for you to like jerk. Like rub one out real quick, and I felt weird reading it. Like, because I just don't really like that.
So you know, like Zach doesn't like that character for the same reason, and I'm like, but I actually like that.
I think, like Harley Quinn in particular is the same way I feel about Oracle, where she was created in a certain way for male gaze, and she had stuff happen to her. And then she recovered from it from really good writing afterwards.
Right.
Also, I think Batman the Anime Series is one of the best adaptations of. I mean, it was the original adaptation of Harley Quinn.
She's an animated character. Yeah.
And I think that's where I love her, is because it's not where she was born from. It wasn't what she was created. It's what she became. And I think that's a really good thing to aspire to.
And they took a step backwards from that. Like from the animated series was almost like this really sweet kind of almost plucky girl who was like in this really abusive relationship with this really evil guy. And then you had like in the New 52 Suicide Squad at one point she literally refers to her badge as like a clown car.
Yeah, yeah.
And like how much can she fit in her clown car? No, I'm not joking. She refers to her trap as a freaking clown car. And I was just kind of like, why am I reading a book about Harley Quinn's clown car badge? Like, what the heck, you know? And there's like a scene where they can't pay for something, and she's just like, "Oh, I've got it," you know, because you totally know she's gonna bang the clerk, the store clerk. And I was like, "This is strange. This doesn't feel like she's a part of the team. It kind of feels like the team uses her as currency."
I'm super uncomfortable with this, and like even more so with
that is kind of
Harley Quinn and then Starfire's other big ones. Like these two characters are things that girls identify with, and when I mean girls, I mean people under the age of 15. Like these are aspiring figures, especially with like Starfire with Teen Titans, the anime series with Harley Quinn.
She's always been kind of written that way, though. She's always been kind of sexual.
But I remember it broke my heart when New 52 came out, and like she was doing a pretty adequate job before then because she had a lot of pathos before then. And then New 52, they brought her back in like this string bikini. And then I remember reading an editorial about a father who bought this immediately for his daughter, because she loved the Teen Titans TV show, and he started reading it and then realized as he was reading it with his little daughter, this is not for her, and how she was heartbroken and he was heartbroken for her. And that's what makes it worse for me, I feel like. And Harley Quinn kind of falls in the same camp. So these are people that, children can look up to as characters that they want to. They're not the gritty characters, they're not the, meant for adults. And when you bring them into an audience to try to bring them sexualize it, it makes me feel really dirty. Okay.
I agree.
Some people said, like, I think I just read why I never got into comics, it just turns me off. So, like, I feel like across comic books, because they've been around for so many years, right? So many artists and so many writers work on them, where there's, when I say, like, Harley Quinn, there are multiple images of her, and there's parts of that character that I really like growing up, I like seeing the clown on the cartoon, and like that has never gone away, and I like this clown character, and I have kind of missed like what the main story was, and then picked it back up after she split up with the Joker, and I thought that was like, it added another level as I aged as like a woman, and I was like, oh, there is like, she is more than just an accessory to him. So that was really exciting to me. But I feel like if there is this like duality to this charged character, I think you guys are right where Harley does get more of the sexual kind of attention.
She does, and we kind of saw that in the Suicide Squad movie too.
Yes.
Because did you see Assault on Arkham?
No, I did not.
Assault on Arkham is actually an animated movie that DC put out that is based on the Suicide Squad, and in it, Harley's actually in the
clown.
She's in the outfit, and she actually wears something really similar to this because she's wearing tights and a crop top, and she does have her moments where she's sexual, but it almost feels a lot more like she's herself is empowered, and it's almost like the reason she's engaging in these activities with Deadshot in particular is because she's over the Joker. And it's almost used as a tool to kind of like show you that she's over the Joker. But I mean, she's not. I just don't like how she's constantly in this sort of costume that's so eye candy-y. When her original rendition was her covered literally head to toe. So I feel like often the playful cuteness gets bypassed, and it's her like changing in front of a group of men and being like, "What's the big deal?" And I'm like, why'd you write that in? Why'd you waste, like, you've got 90 minutes to make this movie. Why'd you waste 5 minutes on this pointless scene? So there you have it.
I feel like the mask on Harley is really important too. I absolutely agree. And I think the fact that you don't see her hair is actually, I mean, she's really covered up in the original costume, and I really, I don't know, it's just interesting to me. But I think some missed opportunities there that some artists have taken advantage of, where there is this other alternate storyline. Hi!
Can I say a thing?
Yeah, say a thing.
So,
just on the
topic.
It's like a round table now.
I know, sorry. So on the topic of Harley Quinn's mask, I just was thinking about it.
Oh
my goodness! Except I'm gonna spill everything. Sorry, I'm just throwing everything off. So, on the topic of Harley Quinn's mask, I was just thinking about this. I feel like her mask is really, really important because when you think about, Joker doesn't wear a mask.
Right.
He just wears, like,
Well, his face got
is
messed
all
up.
bleached.
Yeah.
And messed up. And she's wearing a mask, and she's always with him, and she's always sort of playing this part to be like his perfect whatever. And so I feel like her mask is like a really important part of her character and a really important part of her costume, because when you take it off, you're saying that she's just that.
Yeah.
This is her character, but I think that a lot of her is a really performative character.
Sure.
She's being performative in being a villain. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out
agree
there.
completely. When she takes the mask off, like she is playing a character. And even when there's actually a really good one-shot comic that was kind of drawn in the same style as the animated series, and in it they show her going to sort of woo the Joker. She's gonna surprise him.
Oh, Mad Love.
Yeah,
This is where she.
Yeah,
That's
and
her
she
original.
totally puts on a costume to impress him, and it's a big show.
Yeah.
And even when you see her in her standalone comic with the Amanda Connor run that's going on right now, you kind of realize like she is this other person when she's not with the Joker.
Right.
And the mask is very much the person who she is when she's with the Joker.
Yes.
I agree completely.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to pop in and say
Hi,
that.
Our community manager.
The Joker is her mask.
About Harley, because Mad Love was one of the first comics I ever read.
It's
Mad Love is a great one.
It's a great book. I love
Actually,
it.
I had a question for you guys real quick. This is probably not a quick question. What is the comic that made you a comic book nerd?
You go for it first.
X-Men, it's a really weird one. X-Men 2099. That's the weirdest thing ever, but I remember distinctly, I was in Orlando, Florida, going to Disney World. Yeah. And Disney Park was closed for that day.
How old were you? If
I was about, I want to say 9 or 10,
Oh,
I feel
wow.
like. This was 92, 93, around that age.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go to Disney World that day because either one of my cousins were sick or something. So my friend, for my mom, went to the grocery store and bought comics, because that's been back when you could actually buy them in grocery stores.
Yeah.
And she bought me 2099 while we hung out in the pool, and I read it, and it was the first time I actually saw characters of color in it, because the leader of it is Chinese American, I believe. He had powers of healing and destruction given a hand, and it had a strong female cast as well. And I was like, wait a second, so it's not just Superman, because I just remember Superman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And this was pre-Wolverine hype.
Sure.
Like the big hero of the world back then was Spider-Man, and in terms of Marvel. So it was those two, and I wasn't really into them at first, because that was also the time of Maximum Carnage, if you guys remember that. And Maximum Carnage was not good. I will say that right now. It was bloody, it was ultra violent, and I was a little kid. It was too much for me. So this was the first book, and actually 2099 was pretty brutal as well, but it was not nearly to that level. But it opened my eyes, it's not just what you see in the news. There is a lot more to comics, and because of that, I got into that, and then I started watching the X-Men cartoon.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the X-Men cartoon was amazing.
And yeah, so my entryway into comics was X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah, and then from there it expanded in... and then from there expanded to all Marvel, and then eventually I was a hater of DC. I was a super hater. And then Marvel pissed me off, and I didn't have anything to read, so I read DC and fell in love with that. And then they pissed me off.
Actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I like them both. When people are like Marvel or DC, I'm just like,
what year?
Like mom and dad. Why would I want them to fight?
For sure. For sure. In the chat room, I would love to see what was the comic book that made you a comic book nerd.
Yeah.
Your turn.
My turn. Oh yes, I would have to answer that question too. Actually,
or not. No pressure.
My story is not that interesting because it wasn't any one good comic in particular.
Sure.
What happened is when I was around 9 or 10, my parents decided to move to India, and so I went with them. And when I moved there, of course, as part of my upbringing, I had to learn Hindi and Punjabi and how to read. I already knew how to speak it, but I had to learn how to read and write it. And so I was learning 2 different scripts at the same time, and I was getting really depressed about it.
Oh.
And my dad just...
New subscribers!
Thanks
Welcome
for
aboard!
that new sub, Azul Drake.
Yes!
Welcome.
And welcome to the Thumper
Welcome.
family.
As
Thumper
just as I was
family.
talking about
Thumper family.
being depressed.
Aww.
It was a wonderful time.
But you were
to jump on.
talking about your family.
I was talking about my family. This is welcome to ours. Oh, but yeah, so I was learning 2 languages at the same time.
Yeah, that's intense.
I was getting really depressed about it.
Yeah.
And basically, my dad started bringing me home stacks of Hindi comics.
Oh, cool.
And he had it in his brain that it would be less tedious for me to read it and get familiar with it if it was a comic book. He was totally right.
Yeah.
And so the first comic books I fell in love with, and this is like actual comic books, not the shows.
Sure.
I've been watching the shows. I think my favorite was actually the one with Spider-Man and Firestar.
Oh, I remember that one.
I love that show. And
The
then there was
Spider-Man Power Hour.
and then sometimes Blade would make an appearance in the Spider-Man. Yeah, so that was actually my favorite big one. But yeah, we had like these. I always talk about my crappy Indian superheroes. We had like this guy named Doga. His name was Doga, and he was literally Punisher with like a dog mask.
Yeah.
And he looked like a dog.
That sounds actually pretty
He
damn
was
badass.
Nagraj, and he would literally shoot. This is so stupid. He would shoot snakes out of his hands. Like literally.
That's
shot
really
snakes.
scary, though.
He would like they would come out of his hands.
Actually, now that you...
But he was a hero.
Now that
He was a good guy, but he would be like, and he had poison breath. But imagine shooting snakes, and he was like Spider-Man because he could use them as ropes.
Yeah,
but
like, does your hand open?
As like a 9-year-old, I was like, that poor snake is like being hung from
Sure.
while you're swinging.
Sure.
But yeah, he literally like shot snakes out of his hands. It was really scary.
I want to actually
Somebody said, Bronze, this is blowing my mind right now. I want to hear about this forever. So actually, this reminds me kind of like, you know, so I've read like the Ramayana and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Those are like totally superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Like you say a little like
Yeah.
prayer and you shoot an arrow and it turns into like fire
in the
snake.
Mahabharata,
Yeah,
so, like,
for sure.
all of the Indian comics were actually based out of mythology.
Yeah, for sure.
So like even like Shakti was like
Oh my
this
goodness.
girl who gets possessed with the spirit of Kali.
Yeah.
And so she has like all these goddess powers, and yeah, so all of our superheroes were like crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
We had one named Barmanu, and that literally means like atomic, and he had like the power of like atomic energy. And he was like the most like normal one we had.
All right.
But everyone else like shot snakes out of their hands and stuff.
So can I have just like a like sort of off topic, but we're gonna reel it back into our comic books here. So there are a lot of characters who are inspired by like Indian mythology, African folklore, Asian, you know, religion even.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that? Cultural appropriation, interesting, creative?
I used to get mad about it.
Yeah.
I used to get really
Is there any
mad
like
about it.
specific character or story that you were mad about? That you used to be mad about?
A lot of it was like Harry Potter.
Mhm.
I don't remember specifically the examples now, but I remember like reading through it and being like, half of this is like just Indian mythology that's been like
repurposed. By people who aren't Indian.
Yeah. It felt weird. Now I'm just kind of like, I kind of feel like the same stories have been told over so
Sure,
many different
sure.
cultures. And like, especially we have that like hero's formula and stuff
Mhm,
like that.
mhm, the
And it
hero's
kind of-
journey, yeah.
and it kind of made me kind of not be as upset
Sure.
about it.
So I think
But-
this is actually funny because I went onto a panel, or not onto, I watched a panel at Geek Girl Con about this, about appropriation and adaptation and inspiration. I think it really comes down to knowing the material. If you give the proper respect to the culture you're taking it from, if you make sure it's not caricature, you
Yeah.
make sure it's not stereotype,
Yeah.
that's the core facets of it.
Mhm.
If you truly respect the materials from it, if you can take it away from, stay very cautious of religion.
Sure.
And things that are core to the faith and the culture of whoever you're
Mhm.
adapting from, and truly respect, then you go forward, and then there's a lot to be gained by it. And I think that's the core of it. You have to, you can't just say, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna make a gimmick of it." Like, as soon as you'd say that, you need to do more research. You need to know why.
Yeah.
And I think
the same thing happens with like fashion. A lot of people tend to confuse like Indian fashion with like Indian culture, and
Sure.
it's not the same thing. And that there's a line there. There's a difference between wearing like a Punjabi shoe and between wearing a bindi, or between wearing things
Yeah.
that have like more like cultural significance.
Sure.
So it's not the same as wearing a pair of jeans, because a lot of like in different cultures, like clothing and makeup
Sure.
and things like that can mean something.
Right.
So I honestly like less than storytelling. What really bothers me is like the color festival
Mhm.
and shit like that,
Yeah.
where it's like that's the festival. It's called Holi,
Right.
It's the actual festival in India. Not only do you celebrate it on the wrong
Yeah.
day, but you've completely disassociated it from the name that it's supposed to be, and you've turned it into a bunch of drunk white people smearing color on each other's faces.
Woo! Oh my goodness, another subscriber! Yeah!
That was a good one.
Welcome aboard the
Welcome
Ojimbo! And welcome to the family, Thumper!
You have a
Sub-hype.
new job now on board the Yojimbo.
Oh, that's right. Just a reminder, if you type in who is
What is that?
Let me know if you agree.
8.7.
Just start rating dances. That was a pretty good one though. That was good.
What?
I was very
What?
rhythmic with it.
What?
So
I'll take it.
I just go aggro on
is
it.
it
Like,
8.7
yeah!
out of 10?
Yeah!
Because out of 10, I feel like that's really
Yeah,
good.
That's
I mean-
like a B+. plus.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
You know, that's okay.
So I'm actually really happy about this discussion, by the way, guys.
Okay, cool.
'cause I feel like more than like I'm a video game professional.
Sure.
That's what I do for my day job.
Yeah.
But I feel like
We're like coworkers.
We are coworkers. Me and Malika actually used to sit next to each other, side by side.
Until they
but-
shift the office.
Yeah, until we moved the office around a little bit, and I don't get to see nearly this often. And I'm sad.
I know.
But I think more so than video games, more so than TV,
Sure.
comics are the underpinnings of our culture.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the chat, he
Mhm.
usually has something they can identify with that's comic related. It is a common bond that we all have as geeks and nerds. And it's so important to know why you love comics, why your friends love comics, because it brings you together, it brings discussion and dialogue. So thank you
Sorry.
for that, Malika, and thank
That
you
was
for everyone.
like really.
I was just reacting to the
Yeah.
chat room. Well, okay, all right. So Zach and I bring this up all the time when we're watching the latest Avengers movie. Whenever Black Panther is on, they do like a little African-sounding like theme, and I'm not African, but it sounds African to me. Or even with the new Wonder Woman trailer, have you noticed that they always have this like I don't even know what Amazon sounds like, but like a saucy Amazon.
Yeah.
Have you noticed these things? And like, how do you guys feel about that?
It's,
I think it kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
It's
it is
too
what it is.
difficult, I think, to come back for
Sure.
a show like this. Like, I'll just put it like that. It
All right.
requires
Fine.
It requires a lot of time to talk about it. I think we could
All right.
devote an entire roundtable just to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually gonna put on like the Zach pants and the table it
Oh,
because
shit!
yeah, we got a half hour left.
I
We
thought
haven't even
I
gotten-
was wearing the pants on that. We have an hour left, sir.
Oh, right. And this is extended.
But you're right.
Oh, I'm
All right,
so
all right.
happy.
I'm gonna hush.
But you're right. We
Um,
do have an hour
Before you
left,
go
but-
though, I do want to do one thing.
I just hang out here.
Yeah,
I'll
you
just
should
sit.
hang out.
I'm just gonna sit.
But like just to close out this entire discussion about comics, we talked about the big two. One of the easiest ways you can get to comics,
Yes.
as a casual fan, Image,
IDW,
Dark Horse,
yeah.
independent comic makers usually run shorter runs.
Mhm.
They're creator owned. Valiant.
Valiant.
So Valiant is amazing. I did include them because they're actually serialized and they run really long.
Yeah.
They run since 2012.
Mhm.
And I love that. Like Valiant is by far my favorite imprint of everybody.
Oh,
They're not even imprint. Sorry, that's the wrong word for it. But like I say Image, I say IDW
I love
because you
Image.
have
Yes.
you have books that are self-contained. You don't need to know anything else in the universe
Mhm.
except for that book, and they usually run 1 to 20 issues in average. There's some that run way longer than that, of course, but those are the best way to say comics are not just superheroes. They're not just
They're
the
not.
big two.
They're not.
Like if you have a love, you can find it in comics.
Yes. Yes. And I guess like that was my first introduction into comics was comic books like Promethea, which are incredibly feminist. And comic books like like I was saying, Why the Last Man. Sandman was probably one of the
Oh
first
my
comic
God,
books I
Dying
ever
Love.
actually read, right? So
All right.
when you start with those and then you work your way backwards,
Yeah.
you start to realize like comics are actually like a really comfortable medium for exploring some potentially like dark things, and it's kind of nice to do that. It's a really artistic medium in which to do so. And with that, I feel like that's a perfect segue into our weekly comics, because we do a segment where we talk about the comics that have dropped this week. But before we switch into that, I'm just gonna do this just because I think it would make AJ so happy. If I can find my mouth, there it is.
Yeah,
Ha-ha.
there it is.
There it is. Aliens Dead Orbit. Well, this one isn't for you. This one's for me. But Aliens Dead Orbit is coming out soon. To give you a little bit more information on this guy, I actually had a little...
That is like so much stuff going on right there.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome.
Intense.
So basically,
hey, thanks for the bits.
Thanks for the bits.
Making it rain.
So the creator is actually James Stocko of Orkstein, and he's actually pretty experienced with creating monster stories. And he's taking on the Aliens franchise as the writer and the artist on Dead Orbit. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries from Dark Horse, and it's coming out next April. And the comic actually focuses on an engineer named Wasklusk. I'm pretty sure I butchered his name. He has a very Jewish name, and I cannot say it. I'm sorry. Who must deal with an invasion of xenomorphs on an empty space station in a forgotten sector of the galaxy. So if you're like me and you enjoy horror and aliens, this book looks amazing. This was announced fairly recently. I actually think it was in New York Comic Con news. Also New York Comic Con. We got this beautiful news. I didn't actually pull it up on the right screen. America Chavez is finally getting her own book. America Chavez has been featured in a lot of other people's books. The one that I know her from is A-Force. I think she's also in some of the Avengers books.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been around for a while. We know as of right now, officially from New York Comic Con, she is getting her own book.
Yay!
Which is pretty exciting. So that's another book with, an awesome female brown protagonist. And then on top of that...
Don't close it just yet. I just want to do one thing. This is one of the few times I've ever seen a physique of a female that actually has a defined abs without being sexualized. It's like usually it's either she-hulky or it's like feminine and girlish and wayfish. Like this, I don't know why. I just love this.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
And it fits her character because America Chavez is a little bit of a loose cannon. She kind of doesn't take shit from anybody. So that's awesome. And then in the same vein with that, Batwoman is getting her own book.
Yay!
That was announced at New York Comic Con as well. And it was in part inspired / it's going to be a spin-off of the current Batman Detective Comics that got such a good reception as part of the DC Universe Rebirth that we were talking about. And Batwoman plays a really prominent part in that, so now she is getting her own miniseries again. She had one before, and it had its ups and downs.
Sure.
And right now, I feel like they're writing her really well in the detective series, and so now she's getting her own series back, which is awesome because I think we do need more of her as a character.
Yes.
I think she's one of the more interesting characters from the Bat family.
I think she's one of the most leading lesbian characters in comics too. I believe.
I can't think of another one who.
I can't think of one offhand.
I can't either.
But
I would say she's probably the.
People are saying, will she marry the love of her life now?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know either. So two people in the chat you guys should talk to: Scott and Sour Fruit Junkie, who is Val Ravon on the wonderful DFA. She is also a huge Batwoman fan, so you should ask her about that. I don't know nearly enough about it. I've only been like kind of casually
I've
reading
read all the arcs, but I don't know the
Yeah.
future. I know in the past they were really against her getting married.
Renee Montoya.
But who knows if they'll allow it to happen this time. I know there was some controversy in the past where they said like they didn't want her to be married. What? Like where the writers wanted the character to get married, but then DC kind of vetoed it. There was I remember them being some big controversy like a year or 2 years back about a Batwoman marriage.
I went to some comic book panel by some Marvel writers, and I can't think of their name right now, but they said, we don't marry off characters unless we want their lives to stabilize. And from a narrative standpoint, it's not as interesting, or you have to work harder to make it interesting.
I understand that, and also it makes me really deeply sad. Like, I think I commented this last week when I was watching graphic content. Right now, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones aren't together for some reason. We don't know why. What? This is in the comics.
Oh yeah, they split up.
They split up. We don't know why. It's actually part of the comic ongoing Jessica Jones.
They're so strong.
Yeah, and that made me really, really deeply sad.
Yeah.
But as a comic mechanic, there's really only one or two couples in the history of the big two that stay consistently together.
Sure.
You have Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, and you have Lois Lane and Superman. Those are really the only two that make even even Peter Parker and Mary Jane, they don't get it.
Well, at least they get married a couple
They
times.
get married a couple times and they break up, or one dies, or something bad happens, or he gets with Gwen Stacy. It never really lasts for him. Because it's right, because marriage is kind of defined, especially in our narrative, as happiness and stability.
And I can agree with that, and I can say that wouldn't work from a writing standpoint, but at the time that this was being discussed, gay marriage hadn't been legalized yet, and I feel like it would have been a good time. I think they should have done it just to show support.
Yeah, take a stand.
I mean, like, I just feel like that would have been...
No,
I mean, we've
cool.
seen stands being taken in comics like Nighthawk, where we talked about Black Lives Matter, so I just kind of wish that...
I want to just make a really big shout out too, right here, that Zach just mentioned that the creator of Batwoman is bringing the book benefits to the shooting victims of Orlando.
For sure.
That's super important. I really want to kind of emphasize that.
Yeah, we're both Florida people.
We're both Florida
spent
people.
Part of our lives in Florida.
I lived only, I want to say 20 minutes away from where the shooting happened in Orlando.
I'm sorry.
It's really a big deal that he's doing this. And,
that's really cool though.
And that's, again, showing how comics can change lives for the better. We can all help just by being patrons of it.
Yeah.
And realizing that, it expands our worldview, so.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get into our...
do you want to do the Valiant really quick?
Oh, yeah, why don't you do that while I go ahead and pull up...
All
right! Legion! I forgot about Legion.
You got some autographs there.
So, Legion...
Sorry, this is...
This was actually...
I don't know, why are you freaking out?
Legion is a new series coming to FX. We got this super awesome...
Thanks for following!
We got this super awesome comic book style poster out of New York Comic-Con of Legion. People were wondering if it was going to be kind of comic booky. For those of you who don't know, Legion is actually the mutant son of Professor X. What makes him interesting as a mutant is he actually has multiple personality disorder, and his different personalities can lend him different powers. And he absorbs these personalities.
That's more than just a disorder.
Yeah. And he absorbs these personalities.
Oh my goodness! Hey, that's my friend!
It went down? Went down?
What? No.
Why did we
Get
go
out of
down?
here. Get out of here.
Hey, Steam Key giveaway.
What?
It's time for a Steam Key giveaway.
Be active in
Welcome,
chat.
new
That's
subscriber.
awesome.
Welcome to the family. Thank you for subscribing
Thank
to
you so
Hyper
much.
RPG.
Because of you, someone gets a free Steam Key.
Yes, and because of you, get active in the chat. We're going to give a random Steam Key away to a random active member of the chat room.
Yes.
We are driving Zach insane. He really wants us to talk about the Gwen Stacy dance a lot.
Oh.
Do you have a link to that?
I didn't pull it up now.
Do that really quick, and I'll keep on.
Do you know how hard it is for me to pull things up? It took me like 30 minutes.
Pull it up.
A
I'll
Steam
talk
Key,
about,
what? Yeah, that's right.
I'll just really quick while you do that.
Steam Key.
Let's talk about Valiant while she sets it
Yeah.
up. Since I'm
I saw a quick question. It
Okay.
said, which books are your show, Vanquished, on Mondays, mostly based off of?
So that's an interesting question because we loosely are like kind of tertiary to everything that's going on in the Valiant
that's
universe.
right.
We
So
have the
it's very
strongest
hard.
we have a strong link, I believe, to Archer Armstrong,
Mhm.
and that's just because the fact that Livia, one of her characters in it, is the daughter of Armstrong.
Okay.
Also, we went to the Faraway for the entirety of Volume 2.
Sure.
And that's most explained in Archer Armstrong. Also, Ivor Time Walker touches
Yeah.
on that. That said, we deal a lot with PRS. If you want to deal with see that, look at Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
That is super important to that.
Talking about this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We should get to that in just a second. What else? To understand Scott's character, who is Alara from Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's Bloodshot, but it's also Exo Manowar because he's talking about a lot about the Visigoths.
Yeah.
So they're like
He
you say,
is one.
he is a Visigoth.
Yeah, he is one.
And it talks a lot about the wow, I can't even not remember the alien race suddenly. I am a failure of a Valiant fan.
No. What about your character?
Yeah, my character is Thomas Detective Pross. He's actually kind of separate from everyone else in terms
Mhm.
of universe. He's a Psyot though, and you can find out most about Psyots from Harbinger.
Okay.
I would say Harbinger is a good one for me, both me and Erda.
Yeah.
And then for Glitch, what would you say for Glitch would be the book?
What would
be the book that most is Glitch
ties
like
you into the
in
Valiant universe?
Well,
Your
Bloodshot.
character.
Yeah, I would say, Bloodshot.
Yeah.
Bloodshot.
And then
Bloodshot.
Roslyn, Shadow Man. And what is her name?
I never read Shadow Man.
And Dr. What
The
is
death-defying one?
No, Dr. Mirage.
Yeah, the death-defying Dr.
Mirage, that's the other one you should read for Roslyn. And the only reason I say is those are two that talk about the dead side the most.
Interesting.
And we actually had a revelation about that, which we'll get to in just a second.
Hey, thanks for linking the Valiant reading order.
We should talk about this yet because this is a huge spoiler for this week.
Oh, maybe we should save that to the end.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's from this book.
Okay.
All right.
We have some big news that Zach wants to talk about in terms of
Yeah.
comics.
Sure.
We'll get to it in the comics section.
Yeah. 'Cause I just feel like that's a huge spoiler, and I feel like we shouldn't spoil that. So
We could spoil it with the spoiler tag, but yeah, we should definitely save to it.
Sure. But to get back to Legion, we're all over the place today.
We have no direction.
All right,
for
so you were
Legion-
telling me about this dude with
Yeah,
multiple
so-
personality disorder, superpowers.
Yeah, so he absorbs people's personalities either by being by them when they die or through telepathy, and he's kind of an anti-hero.
Oh.
And so whatever personality, sort of the dominant personality
Sure.
or in control at the time, is the power he will get.
Oh.
And so, yeah, he's
And
getting
so there are
a
bad
show.
ones in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
He's not a good guy.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, classically speaking, Legion is usually done as a Omega class villain of the X-Men because he is the son of Xavier,
Mhm.
and I want to say Moira McTaggart, but that might be wrong because I first got aware with them with Ultimates, and they kind of merged him and Prometheus together into
Mhm.
one character. But yeah, he is super powerful. He's actually one of the most powerful mutants ever conceived of.
yeah.
And when he has his temper tantrums, millions of people can die.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's intense.
Yeah, but he's getting his own show.
That's really
In
cool.
early
I would watch that.
2017.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
I'm excited for it. And now we'll move into our singles, right?
Moving on.
I lost my mouth. There it is. Haha, I have my singles pulled up here somewhere.
Fenord
That's
says,
funny.
Harbinger looks a bit X-Men-ish, so I'll probably enjoy that, but Archer and Armstrong will have to check it out tonight. Is that true? Is Harbinger a bit
I would say
X-Men-ish?
Psyops in general are very X-Men-ish. They're a little bit different because when you're an X-Men, you are born with powers and you
Is
kind of
that a
gain
giveaway person?
Yes!
Zratnor!
X-Ratnor.
X-Ratnor.
Oh.
X-Ratnor. Congratulations! You won a
This is
Steam
yours.
case! You win!
I was
win!
in like full villain mode or like comic book mode where I was like Stratnor!
Come to me!
Stratnor!
That would be a great villain name for
Show
Valiant.
yourself to me so I can give you a steam key.
So yeah, to answer your question, Psyops are really close to mutants.
Sure.
The only difference really is that to become a Psyot, you have to be activated.
Whoa!
Oh, make it rain.
1,000 bits!
Yeah.
Thank you so
So-
much, Orange Kid.
So yeah, it was probably, if you want to come in from the X-Men side, I would say definitely Harbinger or Generation Zero. That's a new book that just came out.
That's
They're-
Generation Zero's fun.
Yeah.
Zach really likes that.
Yeah, it's only on issue 2, so you can start right from the beginning, and it's a good way to kind of get that world of Psyops. Alright.
So, what is your pick of the week?
Oh, you want to do that first?
Yeah, let's start with the pick of the week. and
So,
then we'll go.
Is that the pot W?
I'm really angry about this, but both me and Scott both love Eternal Warrior. Or not Scott, sorry, Zach. Because I love Scott. I don't want to get angry, but Zach,
But you don't love Zach?
we both love this book. This book has been brilliant since the beginning. Like, Vendetti, Gills, it's been amazing. And this book in particular is focusing on Gilad, who's the Eternal Warrior of Valiant Universe. Pretty much what happens is that he was given powers by the Boon, which is this ancient source of magic, science we don't really know, but he's now immortal. Every time he dies, he comes back to life because he is the protector of the Earth spirits, of the Earth. And in this book in particular is actually covering about his family. Because he has lived thousands of years, and much like Armstrong, he has children, he's had wives. But unlike other people, when they die, they don't get to live happily ever after, go to a great beyond. Instead, they are kind of sequestered in this alternate pocket universe.
That's shitty.
To live in eternity.
What?
And it's dealing with the fact that every time he dies, he gets to go home. He gets to visit with his family, love his kids, who have been kids for eons now.
Holy shit.
And then whenever Dewey calls, there he goes. He's gone again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of shitty if you think about it.
You know what my favorite thing about the Wrath of the Eternal Warriors since I've started reading it? This is the first.
Holy shit! This
superhero-
starts off intense.
Yeah. This is the first superhero that I've read that actively fails at what he does. Like, no matter what he does, he always fails to kind of save the Earthrealm. And I've never read a comic book with a superhero that's kind of that tragic who fails so much at what he does. It's almost like hopeless. And in a weird way, that's kind of what I like about it, because I'm so used to our superheroes succeeding, which is why they have to go through this big show of having them die or having them be like, you know, like in Batman's case, having his back broken. They have to have some big event to try to like lower the superhero down back to a mortal level, because at some point they just achieve all these crazy things and they become God because they just keep upping themselves. With Gilad, you never have that problem because he's kind of a failure. He can't seem to save the Earthrealm no matter what he does. And I kind of like that about him.
But I think it's also an impossible task. I don't think anybody
It is,
could.
but I like that. I like that this is like his given task in life and he can't do it.
And think times too, he has an indomitable will. I think
He does, yes.
Like, I think one thing that Valiant does brilliantly is that every character has an aspect that is truly theirs. Alaric, Exo Manowar, is a god king in a way. But he has the failings because he's not meant to be, or he doesn't know how to handle that very well. And that's his failing. Ninjak has technology, but he doesn't fully believe in his faith. He's still overshadowed, so he has to use his wits about him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fully formed aspect. Harbingers is dealing with being godlike powers, but also having the shadow of Harada, a madman, or a power-hungry man, always onto your shoulders and having ideological differences. With Gilad and Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, it's about the will to do what's right, and the fact that there's just way too many situations in life where there is no right answer. No matter what you do, there's a consequence. With Gilad, the fact that he wants to save the Earth and his people so badly, he has abandoned his family.
Aww.
And the thing is that he could go back and live eternity in happiness. And that is a noble venture in its own thing, but by doing that, he has to give up helping the world become a better place. And he can't do that. But because of that, you know, and the thing is, it's a no-win situation because he's still a bad father. Like, he's a bad husband. Like, and you can't not judge him for that. But at the same time, if he was a good father and good husband, he would not be the Eternal Warrior. He would not try to make the world a better place.
And I think that's what I like
Yeah.
about it too, is like actually it's really a story about an underdog, but I've never seen a superhero book be an underdog book and still be both.
Yeah.
And this is that book, which is awesome. Because usually when you have an underdog book, it's like it's because they suck at being superheroes, and he doesn't. He's a badass, but it's like what you said. His mission is hopeless, so he kind of is destined to fail and doomed to fail, and because of that, you end up just really liking him.
So
I warmed up to him very quickly.
There's a little comment here. It's tragic because he always chooses to sacrifice himself and his family to try and live up to his duty.
He never lives up to his
And then he
duties.
never lives up to his duty. So that's why I like it. Most superhero books, they succeed. And I think that's where Valiant's
That's why they're
different.
called super, I think.
Yeah.
I would say he's a superhero too, because like we make him seem like he's a poor warrior. He is one of the best fighters in the history of mankind. He's lived thousands of years. He knows almost every martial arts style there is.
But he's not glamorous. He gets his ass kicked a lot.
Because he's a human. I mean, he has a little bit. He has greater than normal strength. He can recover, but he's still just human in a world full of godlike beings. So the other thing
Compare that to Superman, though.
Yeah, well, Exo Manowar in this case, or Divinity, or Peter Stanchik. Like, there's so many powerful characters in Valiant that he is. Yeah, I guess you're right. He is the underdog.
He's the underdog. That's why I like him.
Yeah. So the reason I don't want to give you spoilers because, like I said, this is number 12 and it is ongoing. But I think this is the first book I've read in probably a decade where every single issue, as a standalone, is fantastic, but it also continues the story great. And there's been, I would say, 3 distinct arcs in Wrath of the Eternal Warrior so far, and it hasn't broken flow at all. And it's all one story, yet they're all are discrete stories. Before you've met another immortal character who is his foil. Who instead, like when Gilad dies and comes back, he comes back as himself every time. He kind of rises from the grave. This other guy dies and he takes over a new body.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he wants to break the cycle because he's tired of that.
Yeah.
And that's a super interesting story, but it's not the story. And at the end of the day, the story is about Gilad and his family. And the only other thing I can really say about it is that it's the first time we actually get to see the Hellscape. And the Hellscape is sort of the afterlife, but so far it's only the afterlife of Galad, his family, and a bunch of demon spawns. And every time he dies, he goes back to the Hellscape, and he has to go through an army of demons to get back to Earth. So he's going through a trial, a bloody, bloody trial. Like, he gets fucked up every time he has to do this before he comes back to life. So he's being tortured just to live again. And like that entire process is just beautifully done. And like every time I hear it's within the week or two out, I just have to read it. So screw you, Zach.
Pick
screw
of the week.
you.
That was
That's
Zach's
my-
pick of the week too. So there you have it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now
You're
it's time
welcome.
for my pick of the week. My pick of the week. It's always Image. I've tried to change it up, but I never do. Whatever. It's bad because the number 1 was my pick of the week, and now the number 2 is the pick of my week too.
Yeah.
So Glitter Bomb number 2 is it's my number 1 pick of the week. I love it. So okay, I'm gonna get emotional on you guys for a minute. This book speaks to me on a level that I don't even really know how to relay to people, and I said this the first week it came out too, because there's this scene where you have these 2 actresses and they're sitting in an audition room, and one of the actresses is like really plucky, and she's just like, my psychiatrist says that you just have to believe in yourself and be positive, and that's all you need to do. And this other actress has like been through the grinder, and she's basically like, she was on a hit like sci-fi show, basically Firefly if you think about it, and then that show went south, and so her career kind of went south, and she's just been through the grinder, and she's older, and she's just basically tells this girl like she's fucking stupid, like that's not how life works, your therapist is an idiot, and you're fucking stupid. And so that first book, I was like, oh my god, this book is kind of like about me a little bit, like it's weird because I don't really believe in positivity, and it went even more into that, like in this book today. Like they actually broach a topic in this book that I feel like nobody talks about, but is like a huge issue, and it's called imposter syndrome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I suffer from imposter
I suffer
syndrome.
from it.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You don't?
I hate you.
No, I do know what you're talking about, but
So if you guys don't know, imposter syndrome is the feeling that you get a position you're in and you didn't deserve it, and you feel like one day people are going to find out that you're not good enough. Wherever you are. And I think a lot of people deal with that and they don't have to work for it.
Right.
I know all the time that I kind of sit down and I, go work as a programmer, and I'm like, I'm working for this fantastic company, Heavy Scheme. We make BattleTech, we make Shadowrun, these games for my children. One day these people are going to find out I'm a hack. I'm a terrible, terrible
like you're a fraud.
I'm a fraud.
And they actually say that.
Hey! Thanks for
Resub, hi.
2 months.
But yeah, so here they actually, her therapist details it. It says a guilty feeling that you're not qualified or capable, that what you have isn't earned, and people will realize your failings and weaknesses and tear you down. And so this book actually talks about like a lot of psychological things, and basically Glitter Bomb is strange because it's about this. Thank you for the follow. It's about this like actress who gets almost possessed by this Cthulhu-esque demon, and these tentacles like shoot out of her mouth and like kill people. But in this book, I kind of realized that that's coming from an emotional place, and sometimes the things that happen to her emotionally, like they tear at me a little bit too, and I don't like,
It's in the art, it's tremendous.
It's deep, and I really like it. And she talks about feeling hollow, and she talks about feeling sometimes all she feels is like anger inside, and a mental health awareness. That day just happened. Was that yesterday or the day before? And so I just want to say I deal with that. I deal with like anger. There's times I feel angry, like if I feel like someone's been given this great opportunity and they're just like, I feel like they're wasting it. I'm not like jealous, I'm angry. I feel anger in my heart and in my soul. So it's really weird for me to like read a book that touches on that, touches on someone who like looks at someone who's privileged or beautiful or has everything handed to her, and deep down inside feels like this hollow pit of anger. And that's kind of where this creature and you start to realize like she has been chosen for this because she has that hollow pit of anger inside of her. That's why this beast has chosen her. And it's awesome because it kind of, the first issue kind of felt, the first issue was amazing too, but it kind of felt more random. Like, oh, she's been possessed by this strange Cthulhu creature and now she shoots tentacles out of her mouth. And now it's like, no, she's been chosen.
Sure.
And it's become a power that she wields. And when I look at her like life and I look at how sad it is, this book hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
But in other ways, I'm like, this is finally a book that speaks to me because it's not about a bunch of happy people doing a bunch of happy things.
Sure.
It's about someone who struggles with emotional things. So,
Glitter Bomb, get it?
I want to read it so
it's
bad.
like,
that sounds
it's like
good.
The best. It's like the best thing I've read in a while. So
I think we have 2 more picks of the week that we.
2 more.
One I can't talk about because someone made a promise.
Yeah, I decided not to talk about Black Monday Murders until Zach and Scott get back next week.
You don't love me. That's what it is.
Yeah, I've read it and I love it, and I just feel like
no, I say you don't love me.
No, I do love y'all. You're my favorite. But I feel like
she just tells that to everybody.
I feel like if we, because I know, you know, Zach's so I'm just not. That's apparently my Zach impression. This is like one of the books he gets all hyped about and gets all rustled up in his jimmies for. So
he gets hyped about things that I don't get hyped about.
So I'm just gonna wait until they're here next week. We'll talk about it next week because I know Scott's into it too, and there's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's like a full like police record in here.
Oh, that's crazy.
If you're not
I'm gonna read it.
Black Monday Murders, you should be. We talk about it on this show every time it comes out.
All right, it sounds like a task for the chat room. Read that so that next week, come back here, same time, and then you guys will unpack it.
Might I make a suggestion too? While you read it, get a glass of whiskey in a dark room with just a light on alone.
Dead on impression.
Is that how you always read comic books?
Not all comic books, but Black Monday Murders is some heavy shit. Like,
Chat already knows about my method of reading comics. People are always like, oh, like, you know, or we were talking and Zach's like, I like reading on my tablet because, you know, when I'm laying in bed, he was telling me something. We were talking about the merits of like reading on a tablet, and he was saying like, or maybe it was Scott who said it. One of them was saying like it's easier to flip, and I was like, no, I'd like to sit back and read it in bed with like a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I like to read my comics.
You can't do this
with
with
like my hedgehog.
You
in
can't
my
do
lap.
this.
Oh,
you can't go.
You have a hedgehog?
Yeah, I have a pet hedgehog. Yeah, I'm making her a costume for Halloween. It's gonna be really cute. But yeah, I like to have her sit, and she does her little thing, and then I'll read my comic book and drink my wine, and that's how I read comic books. But speaking of webcomics, I have to share this because it was recommended to my staff, a Starfruit junkie, and also I think Emily may have recommended this to me as well.
Cool.
Kill 6 Billion Demons is a webcomic.
Oh,
and it's
interesting.
finally come out in a graphic novel form, and I grabbed it because this is a webcomic.
What is it about?
Yeah, Kill 6 Billion Demons is
So I got it. It was only $15.
Oh my god.
So I have it now.
Yay! What is it about?
I don't know. I
Kill
just
6
bought
billion
it.
demons?
Everyone's been telling me about this. Chat. Everyone's been telling me about it. So I finally got it. So you guys can stop yelling at me to get it because I got it. And
I'm gonna read that back page.
Yeah,
text,
read
back
it.
cover, or you could
Do
read
it.
it.
I can
Alright.
explain it, but I don't want to explain it. Just
Really?
just read it.
This is what it says. Post-grad, Allison Ruth has a problem. More specifically, her boyfriend has been kidnapped by dimension-hopping knights, a dying warrior that has imbued her with a great and ancient power, and she has asked herself, or has been whisked away to Throne, the city at the center of the world. Stranded in a bizarre land of nightmarish creatures, slang-talking devils, and kung fu angels, Allison must undertake an epic quest to save her boyfriend from the clutches of the 7 evil god kings that rule the multiverse. That's pretty cool. Someday
so-
I'll save my boyfriend.
So, I just want to say one thing. You
Sure.
heard that description? Ignore it. Just read the book.
ignore it and just read the book. It almost
Yeah.
sounds a little Scott Pilgrim-y, but it looks amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm really excited to read it. Okay, and we do have a collective pick of the
Yes.
week, which is both of our picks of the week. This is by Mark Millar and Greg Capullo. Our joint pick of the week is Reborn. This book is awesome.
You guys got a high five on it?
Yeah, this is our joint pick of the week because we were both. I was like, "Can I have 2 picks of the week?" And AJ's like, "Can I have 2 picks of the week?" I was like, "Well, one of our picks of the week is the same."
Hey, thanks
so
for
high.
resetting
Thank
for
you.
the last 6 months.
And it's like, well, if one of our picks of the week is the same, let's just have a joint pick of the week. This is our minority pick of the week.
Can we even talk about it without like boiling it?
What is it about?
So
who's the main
It's about
character?
dying.
it's about dying.
Oh shit! Is the main character dead?
You'll see. I think the most. Yeah. So it's at its core about what happens after you die.
Yes, which is why the name Reborn.
Yeah, and it's part real world and part super science fantasy Land of the Lost awesomeness. It's like that's all I can say. It is from Mark Millar. So here's the story. Actually, it's not really a long story. I hate Mark Millar. I really hate him.
Why?
There's so many reasons I could have a talk show about it on my own. The fact that I said that and I love this book tells you how good of a story it is.
Yeah, no, the book is great. The book
Yeah.
is amazing. I really like it too. It was
Yeah.
awesome. Read it. We can't really give too much to you. I'm supposed to be pulling these up. I'm so used to just talking about them.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
God damn! I blame Scott. Scott!
Wait, do you need somebody to pull stuff up?
No, it's up here. I get all like.
I can
you
do
can
it.
do it.
Yeah,
You can do it.
I can do
from
it
here.
I can do it from here.
Malika Power!
Wait, I have to type over there though.
No. You just have to use the mouse. You
Sure.
just have to click up here.
I can click.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Well, let's
are we
see.
looking at? Am I
Let's
minimizing
pull up
this?
Mosaic.
Yeah,
Let's
Mosaic
talk
should be on
about
the
Mosaic.
list.
So am I typing?
So you
in
can
Mosaic?
type it or
Okay.
you can scroll down.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm a guest host.
Sorry, I am not a guest host,
this what
but
we're
this
talking about?
isn't. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
This
cool.
is not usually what I do, so I forget to do it. So you'll have to forgive me, chat. Alter Ego
It's all our fault.
Collectibles is the website we use to pull up our comic book previews and stuff. I was not doing that because I forgot.
Hashtag blame Bronze.
Yeah.
No, you can never blame Bronze.
Blame Scott.
Blame Scott.
He's supposed to
Hashtag blame Scott. More.
You always blame the people that are not here. Haven't you ever learned this?
Mosaic dropped this week.
So
Did you read this one?
I did read a little bit of it.
How'd you feel about it?
I was not excited for it at first because I'm not a fan of Inhumans.
Sure.
Because I'm Team X-Men for life.
Me too.
Also, it's something
That should be like our new gang sign.
Yeah.
Let's just throw one up.
That was a perfect cut, by the way. Also,
on the same wavelength here.
when I don't usually hear about comics that have a black protagonist, I inherently get nervous.
Sure.
When
When they don't have a black protagonist.
Well, no, when
or
they do have a black protagonist and I haven't heard about it in advance,
Sure.
my initial reaction is, oh god, they're gonna fuck it up.
Oh no.
If I don't know anything about the creative team, and in this
Sure.
case, I know nothing about the creative team, and then I read it and it was actually really
It's
good.
actually really good. I really liked it
Yeah.
too. It's basically Mosaic is the story of an Inhuman who is a very successful basketball player. And in short, he's kind of an asshole. He's very self-absorbed. He's very sure of himself. He's really overconfident.
Well, he's a basketball star, right?
Yeah, but he's not a team player. He's
Oh.
really
What?
mean to
They
the rest
ain't
of
no
his team.
iron team.
Yeah, he's really mean to the comic actually starts
Sure.
out with him saying
Really?
that there's no iron team. Yeah. And he talks down to the rest of the teammates, and then he gets exposed to the T-gas, the Terrigen gas, and his life kind of changes. And what's interesting is his power is that he can kind of possess other people and almost absorb their knowledge and their memories. And even after he stops possessing them, he carries that with him.
Whoa, talk about emotional baggage.
So like he possesses someone who speaks Russian, and then when he goes and his spirit moves into someone else, he still remembers how to speak Russian. So he retains some of that knowledge. So imagine over years and years how much he would acquire. He
Prodigy.
yeah, he would become very powerful.
That's
So it's
actually
cool
really-
for two different reasons. How grating his personality is in the first half of the comic ends up becoming, like, they haven't even touched on it yet, but I know it's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Now he possesses people from the inside. He's going to have that sort of flipped perspective where he's like, wow, I'm an asshole.
Yeah,
That's going to happen.
for sure.
That's going to be great to have that sort of flip happen. The other thing is, I love the way this comic was written because it's so organic. It's literally like he starts talking about how he feels like he's soup, or how it feels like he's stew because he's like inside this chrysalis pod.
Sure.
And all of a sudden his powers start manifesting, and the way the writers wrote it, it's so organic, the way he possesses people and he doesn't really understand what's going on, and you as the reader don't really understand what's going on. It's wonderful. The comic's actually really beautifully written just from that perspective. I almost felt like I was discovering the powers as the character was discovering the powers.
That always feels great, yeah.
So it's a really cool, like, origin story. I really like it, and the character seems really cool too. I really like that concept. It's almost like the barbed wire type of thing where she can like read something once and she like knows how to do it, or that it's almost like that. I feel like just through possessing people, he's gonna acquire a very unique set of skills.
So I see Wilder1251 said at least that's Mosaic is Marvel's answer to DC Deadman. Do you agree?
Sort of. The thing about Deadman is that he's dead, for one.
Sure.
And the thing is that like this sort of power set is not unique.
Mhm.
In fact, it's almost impossible at this day and age to have any power sets that's unique.
What? I have a very, very keen sense of smell.
Yeah, the super sniffer. I know, you know, I'm not telling the truth. Psych did it before you a decade ago. Anyway, so it's about telling the story. So I usually don't look at power sets as a good gauge of stories, but you're right in that they do have similar power sets. Thing is that Deadman doesn't always, like, depending on the variation, he doesn't always gain the memories of the people he possesses, and he doesn't keep them because he's dead. And so this is very different because this is about the growth of an individual, I feel, more than about a superhero who's kind of reliving what it feels like to be alive again. So there are parallels there, but I wouldn't say it's Marvel's answer. If anything, like the first thing that reminded me of is Prodigy, who was a character in Academy X, which was an old Marvel X-Men series back in the early and mid 2000s, who had the power of stealing knowledge from people around him and retaining it. And that's what this reminds me of, except he also has personality quirks and memories as well. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. What else came out this week? Oh, one of my favorites. Mike, if you could pull it up.
Oh, yes.
Oh!
Kill or Be Killed.
How did we not talk about this sooner?
This has been one of my favorite books. It's been my pick of the week a couple different times now. It didn't make it this week, but that's just because Glitter Bomb I needed a Glitter Bomb this week. Kill or Be Killed, I've talked about this a few different times on this show. It's basically a comic about a gentleman who gets possessed by a demon, and the title says it all. In order for him to not die, he has to kill people.
Jeez.
Yes. And
death or death situation.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's I like using that but. It's just like how he chooses to kill people is where the
I was gonna point out this
that's
page in
interesting.
particular. We actually got a little bit of like a cool sort of reveal, and that's that this demon's actually given him the power to kind of read people's minds or see the worst things they've done. So when he's walking around, it literally says like, you know, as he's looking around at people, tells nothing but lies, sends photos of his dick to women at work, secretly racist, stalks his ex-girlfriend, beats her children, beats his children, likes snuff porn.
Ooh.
And he's just walking around and he can like, it doesn't say he can read minds, but it just like he knows these things
Sure.
about different people.
The darkest secrets
and
people keep.
it's what helps him sort of like justify what he's doing is that he's killing bad people.
Sure.
So it's almost like this vigilante story, but what makes it unique is the way it's written. Because he has like a moral dilemma about what he's doing, and then he's having dilemmas in his personal life,
Right.
and that's what it really focused on this week is like what's going on in his personal life with this girl that he really likes. And I just find the protagonist to be so like sympathetic and so sort of.
It's
I don't know how to describe it. I feel bad for him, but I also.
Hey Gallard, thank you for the
Yeah,
host.
thanks for the host.
But there's just like I don't know.
Is he like Ghost Rider?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, like
Except,
it's
like,
it's
you know,
different in a
replace
way.
Flaming Skull with like a hoodie.
Yeah. And also I think he doesn't handle it nearly as well.
No.
So that's also a big
Incredibly
thing.
human. Like,
Yeah.
to put this in perspective, there's this girl that's his best friend that he really likes, and she's dating someone else, and he loves her, and it's weird because he's become the side guy. Like, she makes
Sure.
out with him and all this stuff,
Oh,
but she's still with this other guy,
no.
and they're
Ooh.
roommates, so he like
There's
hears
a
them
nickname for that. What am
banging
I
every
thinking of?
night. And they're like banging every night in the room next door, and he can hear it, and he just kind of like. So it's like he is not a glamorous character, and that's why every
Sure.
cover looks like this. Every cover is him like getting his ass kicked or
Yeah.
just like something happening, and yeah, he's not. He's a very like tormented character, and in the last issue, we actually got to see him take out his first sort of, I don't know, his first killing, his first murder, and it was this person that had abused one of his friends as a child, like
Oh,
sexually
wow.
abused. So yeah, the comic actually tackles some pretty dark subjects, but it does it in a pretty cool way.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's worth
I love it. It's such a good book. It's such a good book, and it's,
Brubaker.
it's amazing.
Thanks for the host.
Thank you for the host, Ross Biscard. We should get through 2 more books before we run out of time.
Oh yeah, we've got a
Do you
want to
do Britannia or do you want to do All-Star Batman? Because I feel like we're very Marvel-centric today. And indie-centric too.
I could do both of these. I'm gonna do both of them.
Okay.
I think we can get through all 3. I think
Okay.
we can do it. So another book that dropped today by Vertigo #1. The Lost Boys. If you liked this 80s movie, definitely pick
Fantastic.
the book up. There's no other, there's not much for me to say about it other than it follows the formulas of the movie pretty closely. It actually takes place after the movie took place. And it's awesome. I really like it, and it's fun, and it's lighthearted, and I would definitely pick it up. In a more serious vein, Britannia #2, also from Valiant, came out today. Britannia is absolutely amazing. This is basically about the world's first detective, and it takes place in ancient Rome, and it has these sort of themes of supernaturalism, and there's some mysticism going on, but then there's also this gentleman reads these scrolls that have been given to him by these women that are kind of like seers, and he's gained this sort of knowledge that gives him the ability to deduce things, really. And there was actually a moment in that, yep, that's it, it's just a different cover. This might be a variant. And there's actually a moment in this comic that I really liked where he's very Sherlock Holmes-like.
Oh,
Like
that's
he's
cool.
able to completely deconstruct somebody. He's
neat.
able to completely deconstruct a guard and say oh, you're insecure about your job and that's why you lay awake every night doing this, this, and this. And then he tells his partner how he deduced that.
Is his partner like Watson?
Basically. So there are
Elementary.
Sherlock and Watson moments
Oh, cool.
in this, and I really enjoyed that about it. It's a really good read. The art is absolutely beautiful. It's a really high quality book in general.
I like this. Actually, the back cover.
Yeah,
is really
yeah, no,
interesting.
the
Look at
art
that.
is absolutely blows me away, and
So here's
yeah,
what
it's just a
makes
good
me
book.
kind of really crazy.
Oh, man.
Is that Valiant, everything in Valiant is connected. They have yet to do a book that isn't connected with the main universe
Sure.
until now with Britannia and with Savage coming up.
Mhm.
Which makes you think this is going to have repercussions to the rest of the universe.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh, interesting.
Someone's flipping the table.
I didn't think. I figured maybe they were just.
It might really be a standalone. This could be their first standalone, but they have yet to really do that.
I also love that. Have you noticed
Oh,
at
yeah.
the end of every book
Yeah.
they actually put
Yeah, they give knowledge. They drop the knowledge on you. They tell you about the history of Rome.
They literally,
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
they give you actual historical information at the end, which lets you know they did their homework for this
Oh,
book.
this has so much accuracy in
Yeah,
it. So
I love it. It's so cool. At places it's gritty and dark because it's very true to what things probably would have been like back then. So at times it just feels really savage, the way they treat each other and the way they treat other people. But it's a great read. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about All-Star Batman?
Yep, All-Star Batman number
Yes.
3. So, by nature, I'm not a huge Batman fan, but I love the concept of Batman. The reason I don't really follow Detective Comics as much is because there is a lot of continuity that I missed going up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. So this one I love for 2 reasons. First of all, it follows Duke as well, which is his sidekick in this particular book.
Yeah.
Who happens to be black. Yay. Well, but also it has this great piece in it, which made me fall in love with, which is he's trying to fight Two-Face, and his background with Two-Face is kind of revealed. And then the KG Beast comes in, and it spends 3 pages talking about all these abilities and how amazing KG Beast is and how strong and how mighty he is. And then they go to Batman, and it goes, Batman, Bat Knuckles. And that's all they explain, and then Batman kicks his ass. And that alone, this was
Wait,
I'm
let me
done.
see that.
I'm done. This just from a person who's stepping back into the world of Batman again, I felt right at home. And it goes on to tell a much deeper story.
Oh shit.
Yeah, this book is also really brutal, like most All-Star books are. It is bloody as all heck.
Yeah, I see somebody pulling something out of somebody's chest.
Yeah.
Yes, there's blood all over the place.
It is an intense
a lot
book.
of
but,
bodily fluids.
So,
Not for children.
not for children, but definitely, it's I just wanted to make sure to shout out DC because they're doing things really well, And
I agree.
I picked this one in particular just for the fact that I think it epitomizes the casual reader's entrance into Batman again, especially All-Star Batman.
And it's because it's DC Universe Rebirth.
Almost all of them are going to be branded Rebirth right now because that's what they're going through. We didn't really touch as much on DC because that's really Scott's domain, and next week you're going to probably get more.
Hashtag blame Scott, more.
So many flipping tables. What's going on? Let's just be happy.
Yeah, for DC, I mostly, like, what did I pick up this week? I read a bunch. I don't bring them with me because we're not going to talk about all of them, but I read, like, Hal Jordan, and I read Suicide Squad and all those, and to be honest, like on this show, I mostly only talk about Image.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I think you're the Image expert, Zach's the Marvel expert,
yeah,
and Scott's the DC expert. That's how I feel.
I think mine's like Iron Man too. Like I like Iron Man, X-Men, and then.
So also the other reason I don't usually bring up.
I read all the Image books. It's bad.
I feel like DC right now is consistently good, which is not a bad thing. Definitely because it's good, but they're not great.
Thanks,
thank you, Lisa. Yeah, and so it's like I read every DC book, and I read it's like, that was a good read. I'm glad I read it. There are occasional books, for example, Eternal Warrior, where I'm like, oh my god, I cannot wait for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
There are books in Marvel that do that sometimes, and there are books from Marvel makes me want to flip over a table.
Sure.
But DC right now is good, and I think that's actually a good place to be.
Yeah.
It's like
no, DC is great right now. It's just when it comes to like. I want to talk about this book. I feel like for me, it's always Image. Yeah, Image always like broaches these subjects that I'm just like I feel like nobody else is doing this stuff right now.
Well, the big thing about Image is that it is creator owned. Everyone who writes the comics, they own it. They don't have to speak for a publisher.
All of my favorite books are out of Image, like Autumnlands and Saga.
Saga.
Oh, Saga.
A lot of people love
so
that.
one of the things that we didn't talk about
Autumnlands makes me feel like a kid. It has like all these little animals, and I mean it's violent and there's nudity and there's like people dying and shit, but there's also like rams that brew beer, and I like it. It's like
it's
an adult
so whimsical. It's so for little kids, except for the
Yeah.
nudity and the violence and the death.
Yeah, and there's little gore and death, but there's also like a village of rams, and they're like, oh, we make really frothy brew out of our ram milk, and I'm like,
oh my goodness.
I think I'm a kid.
I think when Zach compares Marvel and DC, and I want your opinion on this, he says that Marvel makes the superheroes that we can relate to. DC makes the superheroes that you want to look up to.
Yes and no.
I actually 100% agree with that.
I
But the thing is, for me, I don't want
to
to always relate to my superheroes. Which is why I think I always go for Image, because it's like Image isn't making superheroes. Image is telling stories.
Yes.
And I like that about Image. Image is telling a story, and Marvel is like telling a story through a superhero, which for me it's like, what's the point?
Sure.
I do like how heroic DC characters are.
Yes, they're definitely a lot more.
I love it. They're so
epic.
Yeah.
Epic
when they
is a
start
good
talking about like, I'm one of those people that so many people are like, Bronze, are you a feminist? Because every time people talk about making more realistic female characters, I see your face on graphic content and you have like clenched fists. I'm like, because I don't want more realistic characters.
Sure.
Not for women, not for men. I like for Batman to, I like for people to look like this. I like that. Because to me it's like, these people work out day and night, and I kind of want them to look just totally inhuman. I
like
love
totally
that about
like
them.
jacked.
Yeah. When I read Rat Queens, I don't expect that because Image is just telling a story. But when I read other things, I do expect that. I kind of want them to look totally out of this world. There are exceptions to the rule. Like everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Miss Marvel, and she does not look like your stereotype of what a superhero would look like. And I like Miles Morales, and the same thing with him.
So there's an interesting thing I was thinking about for Miss Marvel is that she could look like that if she wanted to.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
she just hasn't grown up yet. She's a kid.
Well, not even even now with her power, she could if she really thought about it. I don't know if she has or not.
No, she did in her first issue. She did like morph herself to look not physically, but her costume looked like the original Miss Marvel's with the thigh-high black boots and stuff. So she did look like that originally, but
Well, I think we're almost out of time, but we should
we should wrap it up.
Oh my goodness!
Power up.
All right.
We need to do the Valiant like super quickly. We
Yeah,
never actually
just
talked
do
about
that.
it. So Vanquish. So, Valiant Vanquish is a show that we do in partnership with Valiant Games or Valiant Comics every Monday at 6 o'clock.
They
I'm
love
on
you
it.
guys.
I wasn't on
Yeah.
Monday, this Monday, but normally I am. Yes.
We have 4 other wonderful people on it, and Zach, the CEO of Hyper RPG, is our game show host almost.
Oh, that guy.
And GM has at least 20 characters every episode. I don't know how he does it. This one was a pretty simple episode, so I hope we can get done in like 5 minutes or less. When we last met our team, we were trying to capture past Livia, who was a teleporter of our team. And for those who haven't gotten in, we're actually 2 years in the past, our team of heroes, because we did something really, really bad in the past, which we don't even know about. All we know is that in a couple days, a hospital is going to blow up and a lot of people are going to die. So we've gone back in time to stop that. Part of the thing that we found is that a past instance of ourselves, of Livia, comes in and we try to capture her. It doesn't go well. Glitch gets teleported to parts unknown and we break her kneecap. Or no, you broke her kneecap.
I broke her kneecap.
It was actually kind of badass.
Yeah, it was. It was really
It was
badass.
a little bit badass. So when we pick up the scene, we get this really weird instance where past and future Livia get to talk to each other and convince one another who is right. The past Livia is definitely more hedonistic than the modern one. She gets to be experiencing why Black Box are a bunch of bros. I hate bros so much. And future Livia is trying to convince her that they need to stop this bad thing that happens. From there, we get to be our normal dick punch selves and we lose her. She gets away.
Dick punch.
I'm sorry, Glitch. Don't judge us.
Yeah, I would have tied her hands behind her back.
We did.
And she still got away?
Yeah, she used her powers to wrap her arms around, shot a portal behind herself, and fell into the hole. What is this?
I would have not.
Yeah, we're not as skilled as we want to be. But anyway, one of the things we found out is that she was vending a street drug known as Working Class Hero, which turns normal people into...
Working Class Hero.
Yes, Working Class Hero, by the way, is a community member. One of the things we do at Valley Vanquish is give away NPCs roles if we get to a certain sub-goal or to a certain money goal. And so people in the audience get to be part of our universe for a little while. And in the case of Working Class Hero, he got to be a drug.
Well, everybody was saying WCH.
Yeah,
Sounds like
WCH
something.
88. But yes, we found out that that was an abbreviation for Working Class Hero, which turns normal people into Hulk-like monsters. They get super strong, they get super aggressive. And she's, past Livia has been selling that to the local cop, Officer Krumke. And so we decide, at least for the moment, we need to get that drug off the streets. So, we locate him and we get to see Rosalind's character, also known as Miss Rhea Eves, who has the power of fear redirection, use it on him. And found out that he shot Black Man, or at least pointed a gun at him. And it made him curl up into fear, and we managed to get the drugs away. And then we had the problem of having the fact that a full third of our team is now captured behind bars with Glitch and Ariella. So we tried our very best to get them back. And our great idea was go back to the bar, pretend to be our past selves so that we could get into the base. When we went there, we found out that there was another person with the same idea, also known as Archer, Obadiah Archer from the series.
Big part of the Valiant universe.
One of the biggest characters of the Valiant
Read
universe.
Archer and Armstrong if you want to know more about him.
So while there, he is actually there because he's trying to bring back the sect together. Remember, this is 2 years ago in continuity, and back then he was the leader of this secret organization called the Sect, which is all these major organizations from the Valiant universe, and they fractured, and he's trying to bring them back together. And one of them is Black Block, which is kind of the antagonist of this season, I would say. They were the person that gave us all of our powers except for Glitch, and they're the people who have captured them currently. But he doesn't know all this. He thinks that we are part of them, and all he cares about is having them rejoin him. So he makes a declaration that they're joining us again, whether they like it or not, and a bar fight ensues. And we get to be confident for the first time ever. We fought 32 armed, badass, dangerous assassin characters. Don't take this away from me. We beat them. We beat them down to Funky Town. And we managed to not kill anyone except for one.
Oh no!
There's always got to be one.
Yeah.
One kill quota.
I still say 1 out of 32 is better than our usual odds.
Yeah.
That's
it's like 2 out of 5.
Yeah, so 1 out of 32, I say we're doing better. We're almost becoming heroic.
Yep.
But anyway, after all this happens, we actually made an accord with Archer. He's going to help us try to get you guys back and save everyone in the hospital. And that's where we ended it off. So next
there
week's
you have
episode is going to be fire, I gotta say. It's kind of wrapping up the arc. We have 1 day left to save the hospital.
We've got it.
Interesting.
Guys, Valiant Vanquished on Mondays. Well, I guess that's a wrap.
But don't go away. We got a lot of awesome
away,
Hyper RPG content coming up with Viking Lass
yeah.
watching paint
Paint
dry.
dry.
She's
Up
going to be
next.
painting some of those mechs for Death from Above.
And she's actually going to be joined by an artist from Harebrained Schemes.
Tristan.
Yes, Tristan.
So we've got a special guest on
who's also
watching
working on
Paint Dry.
Battletech. Yep.
Yeah, and yes, this has been Graphic Content, your weekly dose of comic book news and just discussion in general. We do live comic book readings, all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Malika, for joining us. AJ, thank you so much for being my fill-in host for today. I love it. I'm here every week. These guys drop in sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is the first time.
They're
This is
here.
the first
Usually
time.
it's
They're
Zach
here.
and Scott. They're both wonderful people. They'll be back next week.
Yep, and
No.
I'm always here too.
Hashtag blame Scott. More.
Yeah,
I love
hashtag
you,
blame
Scott.
Lovingly.
Blame him.
Blame him for the love.
Yes, but thank you so much for joining us. We are actually running a little bit over time, but I'm that bronze girl.
I'm AJ.
I'm Malika, and real quick, on Saturday we're doing a very special stream. We have a very special guest with Mr. A. He does cosplay fitness. He's a personal trainer, cosplayer, and he sees things like this and is like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna look like that. And he goes to the gym and he works out, and that is what motivates him. And he's gonna give us some tips, and we're actually gonna work out, and you can come. Everybody's invited.
Holy
the chat room
crap.
is invited.
Fitness.
And he's gonna give us some tips on how to be healthy as a nerd.
There you have it, folks. All right, so stay tuned for watching Paint Dry. Thank
Saturday.
you so much for hanging out with us today. Take it away, QQ.
Let's do this, QQ. Peace!
I can dance that music.
Am I supposed to hold still?
I think so. Or you can move. I don't think you have to hold still. We have to wait till we're clear, though.
I can dance if I want to.
You can dance when nobody's looking.
You can dance if you want to. Leave your friends behind.
If
'Cause
your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well,
then
no friends of mine. You can dance. You can dance.
Are we
Are we
QQ,
done?
are you shutting it down?
They're still clipping us and everything.
Oh, man. I kind of feel like I just end it the way we started it.
Yes, that's a good idea. Indubitably.
I'm gonna start reading this. 'cause
Verily.
This is a rebirth, so.
Vis-a-vis. Ah. Classy shit. Oh, you're still here.
QQ, shut it down!
We're having our private time now. Excuse us.
We can still see you. Now it's awkward. Ruined. Bam Bam Sam, haha.
Shut it down!
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. How are you enjoying comic books?
I like
This is
this
pretty
one.
cool.
This one